Hello, everybody! It is this time of the week again, feedback and friends. Now we have a few things to talk about first before we get to everyone's wonderful songs. Um, from here, we will be moving to an every 2 week schedule for feedback and friends. That means the next session will be on November the 19th. This is because we've noticed that as things have ramped up, everyone's going to uni and school and work getting crazy and stuff as everyone tries to be productive before getting hit by Christmas. The attendance has kind of dropped off a little bit, and it's not that we don't love the stuff that you've submitted so far, and every week, we love it. But obviously, it's nice to, one, be able to find more people to come on and get a diverse range of opinions and experiences. And I figure spacing it out a little bit will give us more time to try and organize people in that way, but also give you guys more of a chance to maybe spend some time focusing on refining your whips further and encourage, get your friends involved, that kind of thing. Figure out what, you bring your best effort every couple of weeks, that kind of deal. I think that even though it sounds like a negative, it actually might end up being a net positive for everyone involved in with this. The other thing, before I introduce our guests a little bit and let them talk about some interesting stuff that we were discussing behind the scenes, LBC may have just finished its first live season of the challenge, but me and Alicia have some plans for the channel in the whole, but we also kind of need your input in order to flesh those plans out. We figured out that really tutorial content does not work quite as efficiently in a live context on Twitch, and while it'd be really cool if it did, obviously we have to face the reality of how people actually want to consume content. So we hope to produce a lot of live performance related content, technology related content, just general music stuff for the LBC YouTube channel. I should really have pasted that in the chat before I did that, but anyway, just a second. YouTube, where is it? Anyway, basically, if you could follow us on the YouTube, that would be much appreciated. Also, we're slowly uploading the that should be that. We're slowly uploading all the performances from the round 3 and the finals of the LBC Season 1. Great performances there. I mean, it's one of the sets of rounds from competition winner Reset, aka Ryan Tram, is already up there on the channel, and it's definitely worth a rewatch if you haven't seen it already when it aired live in Barcelona. But yeah, it's just like, what sort of content would you guys actually want us to produce? I mean, you kind of obviously have spent a lot of time with me in the last couple of weeks. You kind of know where my interests lie and what my skills are kind of based around. And hopefully you'll have a good idea that Isha is, one, becoming pretty much a video production wizard, and two, obviously a very talented and hardworking musician in her own right. And obviously we have friends too. Like, if there's a type of content that neither of us know know much about, we can go learn this stuff and then teach you guys what we've learned. So it's kind of engage with us. But I know that everyone's still calling me to read the Ableton manual. I actually have been practicing my narration skills. I may like to do that properly. Could be fun. Maybe as the people come online, we can have a little bit of a discussion. The feedback stream actually should be on the LBC channel now. This is going via the thingy. It actually been set up recently to do that. Anyway, the reason there's not many of the archives there is because a lot of them have just been going to my channel and Isha's channel. We're kind of still wanting to somehow build our own channels up a little bit as we go as well. Anyway, now I'm going to introduce my guests, my lovely guests, Clowns in Hollow Weird, who is joining us over voice. He's an enigmatic figure.
Hi, how are you guys? Yeah, enigmatic. I can't say the word. Enigmatic. Go for it again.
Words are hard.
Yeah, I like being anonymous.
Enigmatic deserter.
So,
Yeah, go on.
And Sunny the Skies. Why you Sunny this sunny skies, this sunny
Because
skies?
Sunny Skies was taken, okay? I'm sorry.
You
Someone
bring a ray
stole
of
my
sunshine
name,
into
man.
our lives.
I'm always here to
So-
brighten your day. Gonna light you up like nobody else. You don't know?
Getting romantic.
You're beautiful.
Make an
Okay,
R&B
thanks
song
for the
about-
laugh.
Speaking of maybe R&B-ish stuff, Aiden might have something for us in that camp. I'm not sure, but I mean, what we're going to
nice.
do is he produces lots of different stuff, so maybe it'll be a surprise. But we'll give his song a little listen, and then we'll come back round to a discussion we're having behind the scenes, which I think is actually quite interesting, and maybe everyone in the chat will be able to join in too. This is
for sure.
Sanctuary Master 1 by Aiden.
Nice, let's do this.
I'm picky, you hungry, wanna pick me, I'm tricky, I'm way overdue, over there, over you, next one, we're through, over there, over you make me wanna move. I need it, oh show me, I know it's right, for me, don't judge me, it takes
pauses so that we don't get some, SoundCloud autoplay shenanigans. That was Sanctuary Master by Aiden. And I think I'd like to start by saying the vibe is solid. But I think I agree with chat here in that there is some issue with the fact that it never really drops in energy level. It just sort of sticks at one point and then keeps going at that level for almost the entire song. And I think the big reason for that is that you manipulate your low end, but you never manipulate your high end with things like filter sweeps and cutoff changes and resonance. And now I'm going to hand off to Clowns. I'd like to hear your thoughts. As someone interested in, mainstream and pop-friendly music as a concept.
This is actually a great example of it. I think overall, very well done. The construction was very solid. And in pop music, sometimes it's good to just keep that level up high all the way through. So I think a good job on that. But yeah, I think the chat likes that break, and he didn't give the break from the vocals, but didn't give a break from the music. And I think that could be something that you might want to play with in future endeavors. I love this song the way it is. There was one part where your vocal processing kind of went off kilter, and it was only for like 1 second. So you might want to go through, and it's about midway through the song. Does not match the rest of what you have going. I would address that. I think it's like a minute and a half in. Overall, the construction is very solid. I like that you played with the vocals and didn't just like go with a straight. This is telling a story. I like that you played with it a lot. Sound design, pretty good. I wouldn't say it's the best sound design I've ever heard, but it definitely well thought out. At least I can see the process that you took to get to the sound. I don't really have anything negative to say about it other than I heard one part of the process vocals that need to be addressed. So.
Yeah, I think I agree. It has intention behind it, which is important in any art. You can have the best execution in the world at specific techniques, but if it feels unintentional, it won't inspire people, it won't gel, it won't really vibe. But this, even though it might not necessarily be the most insane production values ever kind of thing, it all feels intentional, which is great. Sunny.
Definitely want to say good job with automation in the track. I could hear the sounds constantly evolving and the entire song progressing, despite it sounding almost the same throughout the entire time. I couldn't point out one part of the song and say this is different from the other, but all the little things slowly being adjusted throughout the entire thing makes me know that it's not some, Control A, Control B in FL Studio, just copy it and paste it over and over again. There's different things going on every repeat. Kind of like floating on clouds almost. Like this is definitely something you'd play at a party or something. I've never been to a club, but the closest I've been to that is actually a roller rink, and I feel like this song would fit very well with that kind of crowd. If you are looking for variation, though, in the sense of actual sounds to maybe make a part stand out, I think you have a very solid bass line, but having something a little sharper in the bass line and removing some of those upper frequencies in a little breakdown of sorts with some bass automation, I think would break up the song. Because you have this really light, fluffy feel. The bass is kind of sitting there doing its thing, but it's not super present. It just is there and it's changing. I think that would be an interesting thing if you wanted to break up your track a little bit. Otherwise, you've got some immaculate vibes there. I think you're doing really well, and I think that I don't know what you could add to finish this. It still definitely needs some work, but
I know what you could add.
You're on a really good way to.
I have
What do you
leading
think?
off your idea of things, evolving changes. It almost sounds like you want to make some of it sound like it's been sampled from a record, mainly that bass and the drums. You maybe has to have a moment or two right at the end where it just becomes very stuttery, like a ding 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 ding, and then that's sort of your closer point. It just makes it wind down like it's a vinyl being played, and just one stutter effect. That kind of it's something that Calvin Harris is actually really freaking good at as well. Actually, thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's making like
You've actually given me an idea.
But one thing I think that he's a good Calvin Harris is a good reference for is actually making songs like his album I Invented Disco or something it was called. The whole thing is obviously a little bit prestige. He obviously didn't really invent disco, but every single production technique he uses on that album sounds authentic because he actually obviously studied and figured out what they were doing, and he's recreated it. They are new songs, but he's basically executing a disco album in terms of production. And
one of the things. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
go ahead. No.
One of the things that like he could take from that is like the subtleties of your change, maybe pulling back on some of the effects that you're doing in certain areas and allowing like the drum and bass to actually take up some space is what I think you're trying to point towards. Nathan, am I correct?
Yeah, I think that's correct. Yes, that's a good way of saying it.
Without necessarily evolving the sound, I actually disagree with Sonny on the maybe coming in with a new sound. That's pop really doesn't do that. You get your sound palette and you play with that throughout the whole song, and he did a really good job of playing with it. But maybe taking some elements away and bringing them back in is probably the way to go to develop the song a little bit, make it more interesting for the listener so they can hear the individual elements as you go. I would actually love to have like a brief bar or two of where it's just your vocals. Give me some silence there, let your vocals play with it, because you were playing a lot with your vocals in this.
Also,
That would have been
has
great in
lovely
this.
Vocals. He's a genuine
Yeah, lovely.
singer.
Lovely
Another
fucking
callback
vocals.
to what you were saying with the stutter effects on the vocal, having me flow out for like a bar, me, and then like a drum fill back into what you had. That would be something
Right.
like that.
Yeah, that would
What do you
be
think
actually
about that,
really
Cons?
interesting. Yeah. Silence is like the one thing that I noticed that a lot of people on Twitch forget about. Silence can be like your greatest asset in a song, and
Silence is
feeling
just
that
as much an instrument as any
yeah,
other
and you
instrument.
really have to incorporate it into a song like this. It would give the listener a break, let their ears relax a little, so they can take in all the changes that they've been hearing coming up to that point. So that would be my advice to you, and that goes back to what you were saying, Nathan. That's something that he would have done in it, and use that silence to like incorporate the momentum of the song. And I didn't think about that until you brought up Calvin. So I was just like, yeah, actually, that's exactly what he needs.
I mean, there's a term that I borrowed personally from conventional art, like visual art. It's called negative space. That's what
Yeah.
silence is for audio.
Yeah, when you brought up Calvin, it made me realize, yeah, that's what it needs. It needs that negative space that he does in a lot of his work, and this just doesn't have it. So it feels a little bit too full and too consistent. You get that negative space in there, it'll
And it'll just
open
be-
up the whole song.
Yes.
Yeah, and bring your vocals into that negative space and have that break it up and pull them along for the rest of the ride and allow them to have that break.
So,
All you gotta
love
do
ideas.
is do just enough so when you're halfway through the song, all the sounds are blurring together. You just need that little snap to make you start paying attention again.
Yeah, that's all you
it
need.
is.
I love this piece though. I absolutely love it. It's just something you should think about when developing your songs. It would you got to realize the listeners get tired. Just like as you're producing, your ears get tired. So does the listener, and giving him that break will help tremendously.
So, next up we have a Clowns in Hollow Weird track.
This one I don't have to give feedback on. Nice.
You get to roast
Oh no, we're gonna
yourself.
make you feedback your own track.
Before we move on to that, though, I mean, one of the things that we were discussing behind the scenes is what drives us to make music. In the chat, Bass Pill responded to my thingy here, where it says, "My passion for it and enjoyment I get while doing it. Also, I have no other life outside of music. LMFAO." Well, I mean, I'd hope that's not entirely true. As amazing as music is, don't be afraid to start a few other little hobbies that just go nowhere. It can actually benefit your music immensely. I mean, I found
Yeah,
that
experiences drive creativity. Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
Even if it's just going out and trying to walk every walkable path in your city, kind of thing. Something stupid that nobody else cares about, and nobody will ever care about. But if it makes you relax, it'll help you focus when you actually need to focus. And music sometimes does. If you really want to improve in music, you do need to focus. Zenkai saying, "I make music to cure depression." I mean,
It's a good distraction. It's a great
yeah.
distraction.
But also, don't be afraid to get actually speak to a therapist. I'm not going to advise it. Music doesn't 100% replace therapy. I
No,
wish it did.
never.
I mean, it's so convenient. But I mean, find someone to talk to as well if you really need it, and don't let anything beat you like this.
There's this one song called Like a Stone by Audio Slave, and shortly
jeez.
after making the song, the lead singer had actually taken his life, which brings new meaning to the song. Yeah, it's a really good song. It has new meaning because of that, but
Holy crap.
maybe a little less life-taking to make such a masterpiece,
Yeah, definitely. I'm an advocate for always seeking help whenever you're not in a position where you're feeling happy, whether it's talking to your family, friends. If it gets to the point where you're actually considering it, you definitely need to seek medical attention, because people like us are gonna miss you if you're on. I mean, Nathan's absolutely
COVID
correct.
was a really
Always,
good time to make music. You had so much free time.
Yep.
I mean, I find music helps me get through bad times as well. I mean, I found actually a couple of weeks ago I was in a weird place emotionally, and one of the things that actually helped me reground myself was changing the type of music that I actually wanted to make. I've been going down this weird dark rabbit hole of dystopia, and I was like, well, obviously it's not making me happy right now, and it was just contributing to everything else. All the, you've seen the news.
Yep.
So I'm actually in the middle of completely reorienting my entire creative approach in order to focus on the emotions I want to personally feel. But I still have to obviously talk those ideas out with other people. I have to figure out what exactly about my current situation brings a malaise on occasionally, and deal with it that way. The music itself is just one way to frame my feelings, but it doesn't absolve me of my feelings.
Right. Very well spoken there, Nathan.
So, in things that make us feel things, let's have a look at this. It's called Break Me by Clowns in Hollow Weird, our wonderful guest, and it's Bacco. Is he doing the engineering on this one, right?
Baco and me actually. Baco actually did some of the actual composition in this. The very beginning, we sat down and I actually allowed MIDI in my songs. I've never done that. Normally, I play everything, and Baco's like, "I got this great idea. Can you look at it?" And I looked at it. I loved it. I hope you guys do too. We ended up winning a contest with this, so really, really happy with it. Baco even had me put some of my vocals in there, which is the devil screaming in the beginning. Baco did a great job mixing this, I think. Hopefully y'all agree. But I'll shut up and let you guys get to it.
Wow.
Baco's in the chat. Baco, yeah, great job, man.
We love you, Bacco. This is Break Me by Clowns in Hollow Weird with Bacco Babizo on the engineering duties.
at the end of there.
Yeah.
Oh. So, damn. As SoundCloud autoplay aside, that was some serious shreddage.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I read all the comments everybody was saying. Yeah, I think Baco. I don't think Baco's really dealt with this genre before. So yeah, the snare might seem a little bit off for this genre, but I actually think it's a nice touch to it. Honestly, bringing it up to that level. I wanted some kind of metal sound in it, and I think using the snare for it actually was the right thing to do, honestly. But yeah, rip it apart, guys.
I mean, I think I like what the body of the snare. I think it just needs to be a little bit sharper on the transient, just ever so slightly to help it cut through. It's not that the actual sound is wrong, I just feel like it's drowning a little bit in everything else, just a smidge. Sonny?
You could easily throw a transient processor on there.
Yeah, or
I think
soft
there's
clipping. Just a smidge of a soft clipper on there could be all you need to just bring that harmonic up. In terms of
there's already a
arrangement-
click track.
Sonny, feedback in terms of. Ooh, why are we getting a feedback? Where's that coming from?
Who else is in here?
Oh, Isha's in here.
Hello.
Just a second. Hello.
Hey, what is up? Feedback and friends, I got my mom here, so watch out.
Hi, Natty. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Who's that one?
How is everything?
We're doing good. Just dropping through. I thought it would be fun to see what my mom thinks of whatever the next track is.
I think it's mine.
That's it.
Nice. You just missed mine.
Aw, darn it.
You might want to turn your speakers down just a tiny bit.
They're super quiet right now already, but I'll mute myself as soon as you start playing music.
Oh, okay, great.
Oh, I know why I didn't have a link for this one, because it's James Slack
Echo.
next. And he got his link wrong.
Yeah, I've barely got my speakers on, so I don't think it's us.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
But
I'm just about ready with this link. It's an audience link from James.
oh, from James, perfect.
Yeah, James Slack is next.
Well, speaking of links and James Slack and drum and bass, my mom has actually kept all my old rave flyers in concert, and I just dug up a drum and bass flyer from 2009 with DJ Rap and me and some other people. So yeah, mom's got all the archives. She's savvier than you know, so she knows what good drum and bass sounds like.
Damn. Well, we
Nice.
I did not take you to be a drum and bass friend, Isha's mom.
She knows it all.
We got disconnected by SlackDB then. Let's see what you think. Alright, there we go. It started all
Autoplay.
well. All ODS committing the shenanigans of SoundCloud. So, with our new special guests of Alicia's mother here, Poe, would you like to give some thoughts? I'd really be excited to hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, from the very first time I watched her perform, which was a long time ago, in a little, remember that fiction restaurant
Yes, 1998.
when I helped her bring her stuff and I sat there all night. I realized how powerful music is, even if it's music you don't necessarily understand. So, from my perspective, as a Jungian psychologist, music, our response to music is archetypal. And that means it's a deep pattern. We cannot help it. We don't think about it consciously. We move to it. We are stirred by it. We are opened up by it. And so it's really, really powerful in terms of getting through to people and getting people to connect. So I'm just astounded by the music that Alicia has introduced me to all these years as it changes and grows and evolves. And I'm awed by it, and I have deep respect for all you music creators.
And how did that make you feel? Was it peaceful, tranquil? Like what energy did you get from that, Mom?
All of the above. Sometimes it was peaceful and tranquil. Sometimes it was excitement and passion and inspiration and the whole gamut of responses, because music opens you up to deeper experiences, I think, of emotions,
It does, and
of emotional life.
I felt that way too. It was almost like, I definitely think that, I think I saw James is working on breakdowns and second drop. So obviously work on that some more, because it feels like the story is now set, but now we need like more of a tension. That was the only thing. I think it was like a beautiful place. We know the characters. I can see the vision. I kind of see like a sunset and a boat or just a peaceful thing. So now where do you want to take it from there? Do you want to provoke people or do you want them to relax? That's up to you, but that's where I would go next.
So,
Well, the thing is, if I could add my 2 cents,
Yes, added more 2 cents.
go
Yes.
ahead.
that when the process of creation is tuning in with something kind of on a soul level. So the creator of the music or the art or the writing or whatever, if he or she is completely open to that soul guidance, creates out of that pure alliance. The effect on people, the effect that you think you want on people, that's more at an ego level. So what I'm saying is you can't really predict an effect in as so much as purely creating from your own soul. And how it affects people, like viewing a particular movie, you can't really control what the audience responds with, But the purity of the creative act will serve people because it's so strongly ingrained in us to be open to that.
Hey, free therapy advice from my mom. Woo!
Also, it's just fantastic discussion points for art, which is going to lead on to my opening of the table here. Clowns, how did you, as a new receiver of this music, how did it make you react? Lou? What happened? Is he back?
I'm still here. Sorry. I thought it was okay. And I could see that they tried to evolve the sound as it went. The structure, not a fan of the structure of it. It felt a little rushed in certain places and a little too slow in other places. And I got this like long dragged out feeling by the end that the song's over finally. I hate to say that because I think it was a good piece. It's just that's how I felt on it. It's not my genre, but I definitely can see the skill that they were imparting into the music, and it was absolutely great. But it's not my type of genre, so. And Nathan knows that. That's why he's like, what do I think? I would probably listen to it again for sure. I wouldn't turn it off. Let's just put it that way.
For someone who's, if it's not your genre, saying I wouldn't turn it off is actually pretty high praise. Sunny, what about you?
So- I've actually been a really, really big fan of drum and bass. It's actually one of the first things I started making whenever I came into production in general was liquid drum and bass, and I love the atmosphere you have here. Um, Drum and bass is not something you would expect it, but a lot of the times I'll actually put it on to sleep to. Yeah, it's fast music. You probably
Drum
wouldn't
bass to
sleep to it, but
sleep.
that's yeah, drum and bass to sleep to, and that's what liquid drum and bass does to me. It's really relaxing. I love the way you put into it. Um, I don't really have much technical to offer. The only thing I'd say to maybe keep an eye on is you have the bass side chained with the kick. You've got this really nice fat bassy kick, but the separation between that is like a quarter second, so it's like you got like a really slow release. Maybe messing around with that, tightening it up a little bit might be worthwhile. Again, that's your decision though, and I didn't say that's a big problem, just worth looking at a little bit. I also really want to hear like a really reverby and delay violin coming in the top end, like playing higher up with a lot of reverb just coming in like and letting it release and delay out, so it comes in like well, 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 something like that. It just hits every bar or so, and it delays out. You don't want to have it omnipresent. You just want it to hit every now and then, and put that delay on pretty long, and just have it keep on going off. Also, some rides going at the top end is probably going to help out with your drums out a little bit, because you've got the hi-hats in there, but I'm not hearing a good ride in there. Don't sample my voice and make a track out of that. That would be terrible.
A feedback and friends guest is now a requirement for people to sample you. That's part of the gig. I'm sorry.
Oh boy.
Can I also say
needed-
why I have a hard time with this genre? Because maybe it'll help Jack there. I have very, very sensitive. I can hear like when something is just like a sample of like one kick. I it just gets so repetitive for me, and it doesn't evolve over time. Same thing with snares. They'll sample out one snare, and it just runs through the whole thing. And harmonics, and I can hear the harmonics and how they're playing with the other parts, and it really impacts me in a way that probably doesn't impact a normal person. But I've been listening to music and doing it for a career for a long time, so that's why I tend to stay away from music like this. I appreciate the skill that goes behind it, but whenever I hear it, it's a lot of just the same song repetitive, or the same sounds being repetitively used and no evolution. It doesn't feel like play to me, so I tend to like on it. So
On that note, you had that EQ in with the drums into the bass line. I think adding a crash, a cymbal crash right after that, and periodic crashes throughout the track would be something that might help out a lot. And as Clowns was saying, don't use the exact same crash for every single instance. Use different ones. Sometimes I'll use a crash that goes and reverbs out. Sometimes it'll just be at a wash, like a so doing... Oh no, I'm gonna get sampled. Doing that might help out a lot.
Well-
You can also throw reverb on your rides and your crashes. Just be careful doing that, because if you do too much, that high end will get out of control and it'll be really sharp on people's ears. So if you add reverb, take like an EQ, duck it down a little bit. That'll keep it from penetrating people's ears.
Well, let's see if you eat your own medicine. Next up is
hell yeah, let's do
Oh,
it.
boy.
Sunny Skies with Glitch Hop What Surrounds Us. So, with that extensive monologuing done, let's see if Sunny Skies follows their own advice.
Yeah, there's some different crashes in here, that's for sure.
That was abrupt.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
we just,
the-
stopped.
This is only 5 hours in the making, so
Well,
Okay,
my mom,
so I'll give you some leeway.
she loves it. Tell
Beautiful.
them what you were
Okay.
saying.
It's beautiful and it's moving and it's fluid and I feel like I'm swimming in the ocean. It's beautiful.
Very lovely. I liked it too. I think as one of, sometimes I am credited as being one of the OGs of Glitch Hop, being that I actually founded Glitch Hop Forum, which was like the first place on the web that you could talk about stuff. So as somebody who was kind of there from the beginning, I would say I think you've got like the right vibe, but what you should think about is instead of having one instrument or one synth to do each part, like this synth is the lead, this synth is this, think about having a continuous melodic line that is made up by different elements. Because part of how glitch hop gets glitchy is you hear the melody and you don't realize that it's actually like 3 different synths that are all blended together and they're taking turns. So in medieval times, they used to call this hocket. And hocket means like the different parts of the choir singing the different parts of the melody as if they are one, like la, 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 la. And it makes
Kinda
one
like
melody, but it's
pentatonics?
4 different parts. So I think for like, let's say your lead line, you can change out some notes with similar but different synths that sound just slightly different. And then it sounds like your melodic line is going crazy because the audience hears one single line, but it's actually like 3 different synths. So
I actually do that with my music.
yeah, it's really easy.
I
Like,
do that with the guitars. Yeah.
there's a lot of tricks like I mean, obviously I use a few different DAWs. I can say for Ableton users, it's really easy to sort of take one part and split it out because, and you can probably do this in other DAWs too, but you can, if it's MIDI, you can take the MIDI and you can send it to 3 different channels at once, and then you can just automate which one is unmuted. So you can have it going to like 3 different synths and be like synth 1, synth 2, synth 3, synth 1, synth 3, synth 2, and that's just an easy way to break up your line. So I'll let you all talk, but we're going to get on with our day because I don't see my mom very often, but I wanted her to come in. But I found something neat I want to share with you all, which is apparently my mom wrote this poem while she was sitting at one of my DJ residencies about music, and she never showed it to me.
1998.
In 1998, and she's never shown it to me before, and so I'm going to read it. It's really cool. It's called The Beat. Music alive with spirit, spirit thickening blood with its vitality. Drum beats echo heartbeats, pulsing life that is youth. Tap with me, rap with me, behold my world desperate for salvation. The music is our vision of hope. Is mastery of life a promise or a dream? Do not forsake us because you do not understand us. Souls are rocked and soothed with thundering sounds of primal rhythms, ancient pulse. Some things we must teach ourselves, some truths we must live ourselves. Surging, emerging, to break free from the chains of generations, the pains of generations. We are a galactic alliance of faith, marching to the music we created. Or does it create us? Either way, the reasons are the same. Love is behind it all. Hope you enjoyed my mom's poem.
That was good.
Love you all, and I hope you have an excellent day from Souk, BC. Look it up. We love you all. Love from me and my mom.
Bye.
It's been a pleasure having
It's been a pleasure having you both.
Goodbye,
See you
bye,
again.
Isha's mom.
Bye.
Make sure
Thanks,
to
thanks, thanks,
take
you.
pictures next time.
I see you next time.
Bye. Aw, that was wonderful. Alright, I'm gonna switch back modes a second. This should be us. Gotta keep it
All right.
aesthetic. So that was a.
I'm really curious to see what Clowns has to say about mine.
Okay, you're gonna be like,
He's
I
gonna
hate you.
tear into it. I know
Okay,
he is.
the harmonics in the first part of the song kind of started clashing and doing things that I don't think you intended on them to do. And I'd say the first 10 seconds of the song was fine. Then they started clashing, and then it disappeared. And I think you need to go revisit that, because I think everything after it sounds like it worked pretty well. Your wah wah sound that you brung in, that you introduced midway through, not a fan of it. It pushes way too outside of the octave range that you've set for the song, and comes in way too late. If you introduced it a little bit earlier, it wouldn't have been so grating. I would have been used to it. But that sound texture coming in so late just kind of was like, can you just mute that?
Are you talking about like after the piano comes in, after that,
Yes,
that one
yes.
bass count?
Yeah.
That was literally what used to be in the drop. That's
Yeah,
what was in the drop before I changed it out. So that
Yeah, you need to bring
was
it
kind of
back.
just-
Yeah, you need to bring it back earlier in the song, because it's too clashy compared to what you've set precedent into the song up to that point. Your melodies, yeah, I think she's right. You have the opportunity to do it a lot easier than I would if I'm doing an instrument, like playing off of different instruments and having them play different parts of the melody. I think it's a great idea. And I like the melodies that you said in this. Revisit the very first half when you start introducing the melody, because it really, the harmonics are going crazy there, and I'm not thinking they're setting correctly for you.
That might be because I actually have two lead sounds. Initially, I was going to have them layered. It actually led to a lot of problems later on when I was
Right.
working on this song, because I was copying, pasting them at different octaves, and I accidentally shifted one of them semitone up, and then
Yeah.
adjusted the other one when I noticed, and my entire song sounded off key, and that was 30 minutes of frustration I'll never get back. Because I
Yeah,
tried
and-
to adjust the chords completely and couldn't figure out why it sounded funny. It was the
Yeah, well, at least you know you haven't addressed it completely. If you fix it for the later half of the song, first half you need to go back and tweak that a little bit. Structure wise, great job. The structure is beautiful, flows great. You know when everything's supposed to change, and it changes when you want it to.
So the piano wasn't too much with it just
No,
completely
actually,
dropping?
when the piano came in, it surprised me more than anything. But it wasn't like, oh crap,
jarring.
why is that
Like,
there?
oh,
It wasn't. It was like, oh, it was a nice little like twist on the song. I'm like, did not expect that, and I liked it. It was just like I really liked that section. So I would keep that, bringing that in. But that piano kind of matches the sound palette that you have, so it's not too shocking. It's just like, oh, now I have a live instrument here. Oh, I like it. It gives you that
All right.
contrast, right? So I thought that was actually brilliant of you to do that right where you did it, and it's at the perfect time too, whenever you need something to change. But yeah, that it's a good piece. I just think that you only have a few hours into it. You need to go in and fine tune everything and get it like really hammered out. And you got some problem areas in there. Work them out. I think that it'll be a great piece at the end of the day. I think you understand the fundamentals of how a song should be put together, and it definitely shows. And your sound design is really good. You just
yeah, that That's
Trust your
actually something I'm
instincts.
still working on in the drop, which is why I
Yeah.
was talking to Bacco. I'm just gonna call him Bacco. I was gonna try and pronounce his old name. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, Baco.
Visa.
Bacco Visa. There we go. I knew he was kind of like a color-based kind of guy. I knew he was into sound design, so I figured he might be able
Oh,
to
he
shed some
loves
light
sound design. He
specifically
loves it.
on the bass line that I've got set up right now. Because right now you might be able to hear there's a part A and a part B to the bass loop before it repeats one more time for the drop. It repeats twice, but there's a part A and a part B. The part A has more wubs in it. This part B is literally just the bass sound you heard at the end there that you didn't like. That's what the bass used to be, and I just used the exact same bass with
Well,
layered
the reason I
into the
didn't
song.
like it wasn't that I didn't like it. It just came in way too late and doesn't fit like what you've established up to that point. But it came in earlier. It would have been a lot better. But I would have gave me time to get used to as intense as it got. It was just out of nowhere. You know what I mean?
Think I could maybe slide that in, or just replace it with
I
a
would-
sub? I was gonna have a really clean deep.
I would
sub
bring
there,
it in
so I
earlier.
was thinking-
Honestly, I think it's a nice sound. It's just it comes in way too late in the song. I mean, you
All right.
you have to, or at least do something. You could do something earlier in the song to hint towards that sound, and not necessarily bring it in earlier. Maybe hint towards that you're going to be in that range at some point.
I
That's
think I could do
that's
that
what
when
I
the
would
piano
do.
initially
I'm gonna
drops.
use
That's
one
the
of
only
my
place I
favorite
think I could
words.
reasonably fit.
Sorry,
Go
Sonny,
for
I'm
it.
gonna
Your
interrupt
candy?
you. I'm gonna no. The word is precedent. It's something that I got indoctrinated into me studying architecture. The word precedent and precedent studies. Oh, he's got.
Yep.
Anyway,
Here.
in this case,
Precedent.
your precedent, Sonny. That doesn't work. Sorry. Your precedent to study is Poor Robinson. I believe it's Fellow Feeling is the song I'm thinking of.
You're talking
where-
artist, right?
Poor Robinson's an artist. It's from his debut album, Worlds. I'm pretty sure it's Fellow Feeling, which is the name of the song. Anyway, the whole concept of the song is it's got a narrator who is describing...
Goodbye to a world. Oh,
I mean, that's a good song too. But I find Fellow Feeling, like, I'm pretty sure it's got the title right. Better have done. Otherwise, if it's another... I'm confusing a different song. Someone correct me. But anyway, in it...
Fellow Feeling.
It basically uses a lot of dubsteppy industrial sounds to tell a narrative of a world that's decayed and corrupt, effectively. And it's like using the sound palette there as the deliberate sort of narrative cue. But what it's also doing is still using those sounds in the second half of the track. There's sort of a moment where it's sort of narration, he's sort of interspersed with these industrial sounds, and then in the second half it goes into a sort of more melodic ambient vibe, and then it's like, but what if we didn't have to discard the rough stuff? You know, he actually takes back all those sounds. It's like he's reclaiming the darkness and using it to inform the beautiful bits. But it's like, obviously here you're playing with a different thing, but I mean, it's kind of Kyron's comment about combining the artificial with the organic that got me thinking. Maybe it's stuff like that, songs like that use in their narrative that you need to look at and say, what is the story I'm telling here, and how can I use my choice of instrumentation and how they're performed to emphasize that narrative.
and that narrative becomes a lot more literal when you go into vocals and lyric writing, which is what I'm
Yeah.
about to try and undertake. And I don't really know what I want to sing about. I just know I'm going to sing something.
Well, start with just my advice as someone who spends a lot of time in lyric writing. I have more lyrics than I have songs with lyrics. Start with what you want to say emotionally, and you don't have to end it there. I wouldn't go as literal, say I feel sad, this is a song, unless you're going some sort of 30-second punk.
Crawling
As anyone see
in
the
my...
Scott Pilgrim movie, where all
Linkin
the
Park.
songs
That
in
is
their
Linkin
set
Park
is-
in a nutshell.
No, but like in Scott Pilgrim, they take it to its logical conclusion, where one of the competitors, they start their set with just a 2-second of guitar shredding and so sad, and then the song, and then that's the end of our song, and then they move on to the next one, and it's great. It's a fun, if you find a clip of it on YouTube, it's fantastic, great movie. But like, if you're not obviously making that sort of music where it's super literal and blunt, but you start with the core emotional intention, and then say, okay, well, what does that feel like? What would be related to that subject? Am I going to do it literally and establish a scene? Or am I going to find synonyms or metaphors or whatever? But you start with the core emotional intent that you're trying to get across and extrapolate from there. And I guarantee it'll make it more consistent with the overall vibe of your song that you're trying to do. So you got to make sure those two things match. Emotional intention and the instrumentation. Also, get a dictionary and a
All right.
thesaurus. Even a digital one.
Oh
Use
yeah,
them.
thesaurus definitely.
Just use Google. Oh, we live in the modern world. Come on,
Like,
folks.
When I think of a
Oxford
really
Dictionary
generic title
online.
for a song, I'll look up different synonyms for it. Actually, there was a song I was making recently called. Let me pull it up real quick. Hold on.
So I was asked
It's
the other
called
day. Oh, go ahead.
Unsung and Forgotten. I was trying to look for a name for that song, and I was pulling up the thesaurus because I didn't want to make a super long title, and I didn't want to just put down Forgotten or whatever it was I had initially. But that's what I did for that song, and that's why it's got the title it has. Thesaurus.
Hey, thesaurus,
synonyms,
don't knock the
actually.
thesaurus. It's like a sample pack from
I was having this conversation the other day with somebody, and that somebody's in the chat, so it'll be a repeat for them. When you're sending, they asked me, what do I go through whenever I'm making a song, and the music is basically sets the mood of the story that I'm going to tell. The vocals tell the story, and the musical instruments are basically the scene of the story. This is where everything plays out, and that's something I think that you got to really get a grasp on, Sonny. And that mood is what you're setting, and your lyrics are going to have to follow that. For what you did here, you don't really have a vibe going on, and it doesn't really have a story there yet. I like what you did, but it's very empty when it comes to storytelling. There's no real progression for I'm happy, sad, emotions aren't flowing through it. It's a very generic kind of sound all the way through. But you have elements in there that are just absolutely fantastic. But you gotta learn how to get that emotion into your music, and you get that with movement of your music. Your music's kind of motionless most of the time. It is progressing. It's just motionless.
That probably sums my emotions up pretty nicely, which is probably why my music comes out that way.
Right,
as
and there's
for
nothing wrong with that, by the way. I mean, there's a lot of people that like the type of music that you're making, including you, right?
Yeah. I really like the way this one came out. The only thing I definitely want to change emotion-wise and flow-wise is actually the piano after the drop. I plan, right now it's just programmed, there's no variation in note velocity. I plan to vary it up, maybe move the chords around a little bit and add some passing notes to really accent things there. But that's soon to come. That's not something I've gotten to actually doing yet.
Yeah. And it's really needed in that piece right now. I mean, that's probably why it feels so empty when it comes to emotion. There's no connection that the listener's going to get other than this sounds good. And that's something that I always try to instill in my music is can I get people to feel something when they're listening to it, whether it's with vocals, without vocals, right?
Yeah.
And that's something that you should really look at. Am I feeling anything when I'm listening to this?
It's a very romantic attitude.
Yeah.
I'm
Like,
definitely
you're
more
right.
just proud of what I've accomplished in the song, not so much feeling a specific emotion. But once that fades, I'll probably be able to take a step back and look at how it actually feels. Excuse me.
I mean, it's a great piece. I mean, there's a lot of potential for it. I mean, it's only 5 hours old. And
It's a wee baby.
yeah, I mean,
It's a
and
wee
for 5 hours
child.
old, you have a very good structure there. Nice skeleton to go in and just do a lot of stuff to it to bring out what you want it to be. Let's move on to the next one. Let's get somebody else in.
Yeah.
I feel like we spend more time talking about our stuff, and I'd love to spend some time talking
Yeah, we can spend half an hour
to the
talking about
viewers.
Fusion because he usually hits it hard. This is Instrumental 4 Remix.
Oh, this would be great.
Oh, it's not SoundCloud.
Has
It's
to
Audius
say.
Autoplay. I wonder if I can turn that off. I should have a check at that sometime if I can ever remember. To
Isha had mentioned that she'd changed some settings on SoundCloud and it had stopped autoplay,
Yeah,
but
this
that
is
she
Audius,
wasn't
not
logged in
SoundCloud.
every time she played song.
Yeah, this is the problem is this is Audius. I don't remember if they have a setting for it. I don't know if they do. If someone knows Audius better than me and can check if they have a way to turn autoplay off, I'd much appreciate it.
It's in your settings on SoundCloud, anyways.
Yeah, on SoundCloud, this is Audius. Sorry, accidentally triggered it. Yeah, this is my Galaxy Tab S7. The keyboard case arrived. I got that redeemed from like a promo thing, and it works. It's actually
Nice.
pretty
Hey, that's pretty good.
good. Yeah. keyboard
I'd like to go first on this one. Sonny, we were just talking about like telling a story, and this thing
Yeah.
tells a story. I have a couple of problems with it. You're opening way too harsh. I do the rain, but make it start a little bit slower, and then speed up. That's what I would do, and that would take care of that harshness, and then the rest of it just freaking great. You need to look into your frequencies. You're hitting like well over 6K. I'm thinking, because it's
Everything.
definitely hitting my ears.
Did you see the
You need to tone that back a little bit because it's just too harsh. But your use and your movement through this piece is just fantastic. The end came a little too late. I think it should have been like maybe 4 or 5 bars earlier, because that's when my ears are tired. And so if you bring that in like 4 bars earlier, I would have left this with like, holy shit, who the fuck is this person? Because I was so tired by the end of it. It's just so much going on. It's great. It's a great piece. And emotion wise, this is what we're talking about, Sonny. And somebody who understands that he's telling a story through this whole thing, and it's progressing, and it's just a great piece.
I mean, for me, you say about the sudden start. I mean, if you're focusing on like, regular old consumers, yeah, that would be a problem. But you know what this feels like? It's freaking trailer music. Go get sync on this.
I was gonna say that. It's cinematic trailer music,
And in,
Like,
you know,
imagine
in those
Daredevil or some
circumstances,
person, like, walking down a street, pulling up to a car, pulling a gun, and just shooting someone, and then driving off at a high-speed car chase.
I mean, one of the things I've noticed as well. Has anyone else noticed the trailer? Like the thing now where they have trailers.
They're trying to make
for
everything.
trailers. Where the start of the trailer is a 5-second clip for the trailer.
Yeah, I know. It's freaking weird.
It's freaking weird. But ignoring that weird format change, for a conventional, traditional trailer where they start with the big Hans Zimmerish crash and brass and whatever, the 2 Steps from Hell kind of perfected the formula for that one.
Yeah.
That's what this feels like to me, and it also, again, I think is why it works emotionally. That's part of the magic of working emotionally. I mean, you look at a trailer, and a really.
Oh yeah, you get that connection. You
Yeah.
get that connection instantly. And this
Trailer
one,
music is-
like the shocking part of how it opened, it wasn't even that shocking to me. It was just like, oh, okay, I really did not expect this.
But in
and-
that context, if this was synced to something,
Yeah,
visual,
it would. Yeah, it would be great. Yeah.
And that's the thing as well. It comes up on the show so often.
But they said that they took it out already, so that kind of works. So, but yeah, I mean, great piece. Movement was great. Sound design. Your sound design is crazy. Like, you had so much going on, and how you like mixed it all together so well. It just did. I couldn't do this. I can do it with the instruments. I cannot do this how you did this. It's just great.
I'd say if you did want to add in those vocals, though, pick a section in the song where you think it would fit, cut out everything, put in like a low impact, and have like a very airy female vocal coming in, something like flowy. What do you think, Clown, of that? Abrupt,
Honestly,
low impact.
Honestly, I
and
would
then
not
some
do
vocals.
that to this piece. I don't think, unless he cuts out all those high ends. I don't really hear the room for female vocals.
There's
I don't
definitely no
actually
room.
hear room for vocals.
I'm
There's-
saying if you just cut out stuff and then left it with just a low impact and nothing
They would
else,
have to
and
gut
then
the hell out of
vocals
this to
come in.
make room for female vocals and make them be able to sit in there right. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
actually would hate if they did that, because it would just strip away too much.
Yeah,
and the piece is just great the way it is.
What do you think if they did that at the end of the song? That's kind of where I was thinking that might work best.
But then again, it's like the song is already it's 4 minutes and 20 seconds. It's like, you know, I kind of feel like it says all it needs to say.
The thing the piece is great. Like the emotions you go through as you're listening to it is just fantastic. And yeah, it'd be great for trailers, but like, dude, this is something I would actually listen to, and just revel in like your sound design and the melody constructions that you did here. Your progressions as they move through and all the changes are just fantastic. I mean, and your structure's great. Like I said, the only problem with the structure is it ended too late. It needs to end maybe a couple of bars earlier. But that's just because my ears got tired. And I listen to music a lot. And they got tired there. The average listener might get tired a little bit sooner than that. So you might want to look at knocking off a couple of seconds by the end. I don't know how you would do it in this piece, but it's a great piece. Like, very impressed. It's very well made. And your skill is just insane.
Yeah, XC Fusion always hits out the park in terms of intensity. And intensity modulation as well, I think he does a really fantastic job of. I mean,
Well, that's it. That's the other thing is like everything kept changing, and it felt like somebody was playing it, but they weren't. I could tell that they weren't, but it really felt like somebody was actually playing everything there. So you really did a good job on like keeping it moving and feeling real. So like, kudos, man.
So, I don't really have any more constructive feedback beyond that general.
Like, this is a
discussion
piece
on
I would love to
artistic
just sit and
direction.
talk about. Like
Actually,
that-
some
Some of the choices that he made in there, I'm actually curious on why he made them. They work so well, but I'm like, I would never have thought to do some of the things that they did in it, and I would love to like message you about that after the stream.
Thought. Speaking of things, of people's decisions making things, we've been discussing what the future of LBC and, you know, types of content we might have on YouTube. Well, obviously, one of those really cool things about this software that we use for the video conferencing is it means technically I can interview anyone anywhere in the world. Would any of you, like, say, XC Fusion or Clowns or anyone else, like, ever consider coming on to record, like, a pre-recorded segment about why you make certain production choices? Do you think that would be something, anyone in the chat, would you watch that kind of content for LBC?
I would, in a second.
I'd love to see the breakdown of some people's thought process as they go about things, what creative decisions they make, what things they think that would work really well in sound design, whether or not to throw distortion on something, whether maybe they might add something for this reason, you know? That's the kind of thing I look for whenever I'm producing, because I want to learn, you know? I
think everybody comes into your stream. That's what we're looking at. I mean, we're looking at people talking about music and getting them up here and talking about it, what their processes are. I think it's a great idea, Nathan, and that's something you should definitely pursue.
Well, I'll start making a notebook then, because that's why I end up just filling Google Keep with video ideas and stuff. There's stuff going back all over the place. Next up, we have Thingy by So I Thought, who is currently hanging out in the chat with us. Lovely to see you.
Nice. Let's see it.
Thingy.
And so I thought.
I feel like was that the Seinfeld base?
That was.
I mean, I'm pretty
No,
sure
it-
what was the show? It was sitcoms. I'm pretty sure it was one of the sitcoms. It must be one
It's
of the other ones.
Pornhub. It's Pornhub.
Pornhub has a slap base for
What?
Yes,
Can you-
it does.
Can you
That
play
was
it one more
great.
time?
Play it one more
Can you
time.
play that?
It's Pornhub.
Just a second, I'll switch back to the thing as well.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get to the break.
The mouth.
The Seinfeld was the Pornhub was based off the Seinfeld, but that's Pornhub.
I love the fact that you even recognize that. Like,
I've been on YouTube,
I've-
and there's so
I
many
don't
people that
even
screw around with the Pornhub freaking base in it, and yeah,
although they say it's Seinfeld.
it's not Seinfeld, that's Pornhub.
Oh, you sampled the wrong thing then. I'm sorry, so it's wrong.
Yep.
Try to remember what it goes by. Hold on, let me look up the intro for that. I'm gonna look up the Pornhub intro.
Yeah, so the Pornhub is just a little bit shorter in its decay than the Seinfeld base, and that's
It's
definitely
bow,
shorter.
bow,
But
bow,
yeah.
bow. Yeah, Pornhub is that, but
There's a lot of people that put it in, and it's just so great because everybody's like, I love that, and it's like that's Pornhub, and they're like, don't argue that it's Seinfeld's base, it's Pornhub. And I love it. And it came out of nowhere too. It's just like, and
That's great.
yeah, that's great. I love it.
You know what I say that this is sort of a comedic track a little bit. Just in general,
Yeah.
the way, you know, with the crowd noises and jeering. And I like that the thing that stops the jeering noise is the Pornhub sound.
It's
That's
just
what makes
great.
everything
That-
okay again.
yeah,
You can kind of tell that the song doesn't take itself very seriously, and that kind
Well,
of.
and the
leans
thing
into
is,
it
is
with
like, the
that, you know?
movement
But
through this is
it makes
great.
it so amazing. It makes it so much better, which is strange. I never would have thought of that. You know.
I can feel your self-deprecation in this too. Like even how you opened it's kind of reminiscent of I'm unsure of myself, and then I'm not like by the end of it, I realized that you just you're having fun with it. And when it opened, it kind of I wasn't sure whether you were settling into it just right, and then about when even your drop didn't even drop. It was just like, what is going on here? And just pure comedy. It's just great. It's like you're teasing musicians, is what it feels like. This isn't like for the regular consumer. This is like straight for people who enjoy music. And
This is for people who produce to listen to.
yeah, it's great. It's a great piece. I love it.
I mean, definitely take a look at your master. I had to pull it up quite a lot to get it sort of the same volume. Obviously, coming after the last track, which is very loud, is probably not fair. But I think you could push it a little bit harder, just in terms of master. I know that you probably weren't thinking about that when you just uploaded this latest revision of this track. Nothing really to worry about there.
Wait,
think
does
the
that
other-
mean my song sucks? Because everybody always just goes, "Oh my god, that was good," and then they just don't say anything after that.
I mean, the problem with it's not that your song sucks. It's that when your songs are often that you submitted are often in genres that a lot of people here don't have a lot of experience in producing.
Yeah.
And so
I
they
know.
always
I
have
was
to
teasing.
accept
I was commenting I was getting your chat involved.
Fun fact, whenever I make a song, I use this thing called samples, and all of my samples are normalized at 0 decibels, and that's what I base my entire mix off of, which is why my mixes are always the same volume throughout the entire track. Like, have you ever had any problems with the mix of with the volume of my songs?
Well, I mean,
No. Well,
not in terms of
the one you did
master.
today, yes.
Your gain staging could do a little bit of work, but
Yeah, I need to go in and actually level things, but that is without me touching the level. That's how it's come out with me just throwing sounds in there. If it was too loud, I turned it up. If it was too quiet, I turned it up. But otherwise, I left it as is.
well,
I just made it so I could hear things.
I think that my only other thought about this track is right now it's a lot of it until the sort of really comedic elements of it are very backgroundy. It'd be cool to have a stronger lead presence across the rest of your.
I'd like to see somebody slapping bass on this.
That could be fun.
Maybe after the Pornhub thing, and then just go into like a real good rip. That's
You
awesome.
talking like a really funky like slap?
Yeah,
just
that would
bouncing
have
up
been
and back?
great to pull off right after. Be like, yeah, I'm trolling you, but here's some real bass to come in after. That would be great.
Yes. Oh, I love that idea.
That would have been great. And like this song, I love this song. Dude, if you want somebody to play bass on the end bass, I'll play it for you. Like,
Take it.
I freaking love it. I'll even record the Pornhub and give it a little bit more punch too. I love this. This is great. I like it.
As for my thoughts on the actual song and the progression, lots of delay, a lot of delay, really chaotic start. It almost feels 80s. Do you guys feel that as well? Like 80s music, especially like a lot of
it
synthwave
feels
was
actually
kind of really
early
chaotic.
90s. It feels more early 90s to me. Very
I can see
reminiscent.
early 90s.
I wouldn't say 80s so much. 80s
No,
had,
it's not
had
80s.
a little bit of. Yeah, 80s
Yeah,
was
early
too.
90s. I can see that.
Yeah, early 90s is when people started pushing away from the electronic music and going more towards that live feel. And 80s is really a mix of the two. This isn't really a mix of the two. This is more of a, it felt like it was pulling back from it, but still having it there. And that's early 90s for sure.
So that's probably worth keeping in mind if you're looking for reference tracks or something you might want to base it off of. Just look up 90s tracks. Hopefully that's a good recommendation.
Well, you want to look at you want to look up in between 92 and 95 is when this type of music was really prominent.
It's from the last time that Depeche Mode was good to when they went rubbish.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's also really hard to follow the chord progression because a lot of the notes from the chords are fading into the other parts where the chords come back in. So you have
Yeah,
it
but I think
playing
that's
and
fun.
there's no
Yeah,
stop.
there's some
Like the
harmonic
notes are
bleed
charmed.
through.
But it's got its own charm. So yes, I'm following the struggle with the chords. No, I don't think it's a problem.
Right.
Yeah, this is like I said, this is definitely a piece for other musicians to listen to. I don't think it's a piece for regular people. And I
And
fucking
in
love
my
this.
notes, in my notes for the break, it's just W2F. This is awesome.
Yeah,
Well, hopefully.
yeah.
you
There's
get
some
more
great, there's
Love
some
that
great
as well.
inspiration here. There's some great people in here today. Jeez.
We love you all.
Yeah, thank you for the compliment. Thank you for the compliment, clowns.
Nah, it's good to you, Sonny. It's good to you.
Nice, Sonny. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
You're the one I've given the most destructive feedback to. But even yours was still good. I'm not discounting you, Sonny. You're
Oh, no, I'm looking to improve, you know. I know my game's not perfect.
yeah.
None of us
I
are.
still liked your piece. Just some of the people
Alright.
that are coming up here are just like next level. It's like, what the hell?
What's the next
Yeah.
one we got in the queue?
We have Bass Pill next to go
Ooh.
Bass Pill.
Baseball's been pretty active in the chat
Yeah.
and giving some great feedback of their own. So we got to do Baseball some justice here and like really
Big
bring some
monologues,
good
yeah.
feedback.
Let's
Yeah,
go.
we gotta bring some feedback. A lot to say about this one.
Before you start with the monologue.
Oh no, you go first. Yeah, go for it.
Before you start with the monologue. Oh, what's happening with?
No, you
Where
go
is
first.
that?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm just wondering where that echo is coming
Nice.
from. Oh, what's happening with?
It's not me, is it? I don't hear it.
where-
Oh,
it
it's
should be
clowns.
me.
It's very subtly in clowns.
Do I need to turn down again?
Echo.
I don't know. I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah, it's clowns.
It's fine. It's fine. I just as long as I know where it's not broken on my end.
I'll turn it
so
down just a tiny
That
bit.
outro is beautiful. I feel like this is the intro to an EP or something, and you're gonna pick up the. Beautiful. I feel like this is the intro to an EP. What the hell's happening there?
That was me.
I'm
That
getting
wasn't you.
Rushdown vibes.
That was me, not you. Sorry, I was turning my stuff down.
No, I actually ended up unmuting. No, that was partly me. It's fine. Nobody else could. Well, actually, maybe someone else could hear that. Oh well, it's fine. Fixed. I just accidentally flicked back to the LBC mod view thing and unmuted the channel there. Anyway, so we were getting a weird delay. But that outro was beautiful. I feel like the ideas there definitely need to be explored more. I mean, when you introduced that sort of fluty lead sound there sitting over the top of your piano, I was like, oh, this is so dreamy and mysterious. And like you're introducing some interesting motifs. I'm wondering whether it'd be possible to add those motifs
Do-do-do-do.
earlier. I don't know what's doing us. Was it you or me? Windows.
That was me. That was me. Sorry, I'm turning my stuff down. Give me 1
No,
second.
you're fine. I mean, that last other delay I was hearing was me mostly anyway, so you're okay.
I know what it is.
Everything. Audio routing sucks. Bad audio routing. We don't like audio routing in this house. Anyway, let's get up with some constructive feedback. Clowns, you seem to have some stuff on your mind, so I'm gonna let.
Oh
you go ahead.
yeah. Okay, so first off, it's missing like something that set the beat. Yeah, I loved when you brung percussions in, and it threw me off because it's just like there's been no percussions, and all of a sudden it was there, and then you just didn't use regular percussions. I love that. It sounded like you were actually just smacking a cup on the counter. Sounded cool. But I kept hearing a pattern through it that just felt like it was missing, and I don't think it needs to be running through the whole thing, like like a tom hit or something. Like keep pace that way. Not even bringing in a kick, because I think a kick would actually overwhelm this piece. But like a tom, a nice little crisp tom, to set the pace, would be great for this.
What do you think of like a tom break? You hear that a lot in melodic dubstep right before the drop roll to go doom doom doom.
I think you want something crisp. I think you want a crisper tom for that. Something that's kind of taunt. Something that's loose and floppy. I don't think would go good in this, and that's what you're talking about. Is something that's a
Yeah,
little
that's the
floppier.
only experience I have with toms is doing stuff like that.
Yeah, you want a little. You want the tom should be like a nice, consistent beat going through, and it's a four beat pattern is what it is. I would actually recommend taking this into like a drummer stream that actual drum over your music, and have them play along with it, and to get an idea of what you need, what the drums should sound like, and I would do it to like 3 or 4 different drummers because every drummer's going to play it slightly different, and then find out what you like. Don't do what I like, because I hear a beat there for sure, but that's what I would recommend you do is go into a streamer's channel that'll play drums over your piece and just listen to how it sounds with it, and you'll get it'll change the way you look at how the beat of that piece is going. Drummers have a natural affinity for finding what needs to be there, and
Oh yeah.
that would be my recommendation for this. That's the only thing that I hear that's off. And by the way, the percussions you brung in, freaking brilliant. Like, it threw me off at first, but I loved it like seconds in. I'm like, I like this. It fit the piece really well. I didn't like the ending. The ending just it felt a little too forced, and like you didn't know what else to do, so you just was like, I'll just throw something there. That's what it felt like. It didn't feel like it was a natural. Didn't feel natural at all. It just felt like it was just like, I don't know how to end it. Just throw that there. It'll be good. That's how it felt. The rest of the structure, pretty nice. I mean, it flowed pretty good. On top of that, your sound design's really, really good. Other than it's missing like some kind of percussive element at the beginning of the song, and in certain spots, it really needs some percussions. Sonny, what do you think?
So, listening to this it made my day probably, because this is the kind of thing that I really enjoy. Is a lot of these colorful sounds that you have in here. It's not quite color based. It's more of like a color based hybrid orchestra kind of track. But I'm definitely getting some really good Rushdown vibes. You've got some really interesting percussions. You've got really lovely progression, and I can't really point out any problems with this song. The only thing that I have that I'm hearing in my head is as the drop was playing, that color that was like wow, 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 wow.
Oh yeah.
I kind of want to. I'm gonna get a sample. I keep making these sounds. I'm not learning from earlier. I really want to hear the color sounds respond to one another when you bring them in, because they sound awesome. You've got a lot of variation in there, but every time the color in is just wow, 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 wow. I want to hear a little bit of a interesting bit, especially near the end, like. For example, you could have a bar go, well, 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 bueno, 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 well, 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 bueno, bueno, bueno. Something like that would be really
Purchase your copy
interesting.
of the Sunny
A lot of
Sky
things.
sample pack today, only from Splice or Loop Masters. We don't care which.
Yeah, it's how I make my songs. I make them with my mouth first, and then I recreate those sounds with my with whatever oscillators or not, or whatever synth I choose to use, usually Serum. But I want to hear it react to itself. A lot of things you'll see on Rushdown is a lot of offbeat stuff too, like a lot of weird rhythms, like a triplet, almost like a dead, not like a swing. It's hard to recreate it because it's such a weird rhythm. That's kind of what I want to hear as well. Yeah, hopefully that gives you some ideas, because I'm loving to hear what you create from this track next.
I feel like the outro. It maybe would fit better if you just signpost it a little bit more. Use some of those little riffs and seed them elsewhere. Maybe have it. You could always stick some more into the intro to sort of round it out, so it's like you get one idea, then it's sort of in another idea, and then you sort of come back to your original idea. Not sure, but it was a fun vibe on the whole. I think you've done a good job so far. It'll be interesting to see how you finish it, and yeah, that's the other thing as well. When you guys send us stuff and you finish it, obviously we don't necessarily expect you to submit the final for feedback, because why would you? That makes no sense. But feel free to DM people like myself with your finished versions of your tracks on like Discord, and so we can actually hear the final thing, because sometimes I forget, which is also a problem, because I get...
We should have a final, you should do a final one where people bring in tracks that we've helped critique and see what they've done with it at the final versions. That would be actually really good.
That's an interesting idea. That's another one for the notebook.
One of the things I would actually say about the ending of your song, by the way, Bass, try bringing back the elements that you dropped off from the beginning of the song. Try bringing those back. I think that might help with closing out the song, because you have a really strong opening, and bringing those elements back and having them dwindle away as the song ends, I think would be how you should close it, which you did. I really don't like the ending to the song, if you can't tell, because it really feels like you did not know what you were doing. And like bring back those elements from the beginning and let them dwindle away, like slowly drop them off until it's just one standalone note from the beginning.
I got an idea for how you could do that. So I mentioned in the chat with the piano, I suggested making it shorter and actually slowing down the tempo. And again with the Sunny Sky samples, that well, but well, but and EQ it out and have it slow down. So it's well, ba-dunce, well, ba-dunce.
Yeah, until you're down to one note.
Yeah, just start removing elements, slow it down, EQ some parts out, and keep that core color sound you have in there. And I feel like that would.
Yeah,
I don't know
mean-
how that would mesh with the piano. Now with the intro,
I
outro,
did.
you got curly
That is a
sound.
question I do want to ask, Base. Is that the ending you intended, or were you lost at the end and you just didn't know what you were? Because that's how it felt.
Lost in the end, out in the wilderness.
I really want to see what this guy does with this.
I do want to know, because that's what it kind of felt like, and I want to know if that's how he felt. Like he didn't know what to do at the end, and so did you not know what to do with the ending?
Alright, while Blaze Pill answers that question, we're
Yep.
going to move on. I think that's a good point to close this with where our next up is Zenkai Garage Band. I expect that's probably not going to be your full alias. Midnight Drive.
I think this one played recently, right? Oh, nope.
Okay, well, stop it, SoundCloud. No, bad SoundCloud. For a start, I mean,
Mind if I actually go first? Is that all right?
Yes. Okay, go ahead.
I want to say the chord progression is almost corny, especially the bass line in the beginning. It is very corny. I immediately thought of either, like, I guess, arcade. Someone mentioned an arcade in the chat. Definitely can agree with that one. It sounds like a phone ringtone, very cliche almost, I want to say. Cliche? Does that sound right?
I mean, it could be.
It's more generic than anything. I don't think it's even cliche. It's just generic. That's how I would sum up
And
this
the
whole
song-
song, honestly.
And the song feels really empty. I feel like your central idea, especially variation, could use some work. There's little to no tension from what I heard. And what it really sounds like is you found a really cool melody and instead of changing up progression, rhythm, adding variation, breakdowns, or drops, or build-ups, you just changed different instruments and threw them over and over again. You got changes in the instruments, but you need to change up the actual flow of the track as well. Otherwise, it's the same thing repeated on different instruments. You ever see those videos of a person going through a piano store and playing the exact same rhythm on different pianos? That's what you did.
I mean, I think that in concept that's fine. The problem is that you don't adapt the playing to each new instrument. Like a piano and a flute don't play the same way, even if you play them the same notes. And there are lots of little tools that you can start implementing. Now, I'm guessing based on your username, you're using GarageBand. I am not sure entirely how advanced GarageBand is in 2022. I mean, I really should check. I have a MacBook now at this point, so I could go have a look.
It's not that great. It's actually
I mean,
worse now.
How's it gone worse?
They stripped some features away, and it's just not what it was.
What? Well, great.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I actually was in there the other day looking at it because Baco had me record something, and I'm like, I don't want to go all the way down to the studio. I'm just going to record it on the phone, and I sprung up GarageBand, and I'm like, it worked, but they stripped a lot of features away from it, at least on the mobile app.
Well, I mean, I'm hoping that it has at least one feature on the, maybe the laptop version, but hopefully on the mobile. I will have to check. MIDI automation in terms of CC notes. Because one of the things I think that my recommendation here, Zenkai, is you want to automate your sustain and your release of your notes for instruments that aren't, for all your instruments really. You got a piano tends to have the ability to either sustain, in which to a varying degree, or to dampen itself, which is usually known as the expression pedal, and changes in a physical piano, it changes how tight and how intense the strings are. That's kind of what changes the tone of it. And but you can do that in MIDI too. There are alternatives, but also
oh yeah, and a lot of things you can't do on piano.
A lot of things you can't do in a piano. Was there another aspect to that thought?
Yeah, I'm waiting for him to finish it.
A lot of, I was like, I didn't mean to cut you off. A lot of things you can't do on certain instruments you could do on others. Like a tremolo on a piano would be like two notes played like this. That's a tremolo. But you can't do vibrato on a piano. So,
unless it's a treated piano, which is a specific type of sample. In this case, would be
like the Seafoam Grand, I believe. You could do vibrato on that. That's like a $2,000 keyboard though.
But
I've got it in my wish list.
I haven't ordered.
I mean, if you start looking at CC automation, I mean, I feel like if that can't be done on the current version of GarageBand, that's very disappointing because it's such a basic feature. Even on the old Magic's Music Maker copy I started out on, you could do the basic MIDI automation. But yeah, then you start looking at, if you're gonna use more percussive instruments, some of them will just behave differently, and that means you can start shifting them around accordingly.
Is it me or did any? Okay, so my problem with the song is I feel like I've heard it before, and I've heard it on like a small YouTuber who's using copyright-free music, and that's what it feels like. And they're into games, and they're just like, oh, this is free. Let me toss this up. That's what this feels like. There's no real emotion behind it. There's no real story. It's just like, I'm gonna put this on, do a quick gameplay, and it's usually crappy gameplay, and that's where this feels like it belongs in that genre. And the thing is, I see potential. Like the end piano is great. I'm like, why didn't we hear more of that throughout the whole piece? It just, there's an emptiness to it that you would see in free music that people just toss up. And
yeah, that's kind of what I meant when I said it was really empty. You probably summed it up way better than I did.
It has this, it lacks any real character, and it feels like it was just tossed together in seconds.
I mean, I think the biggest thing is tension. This is something me and Zine, who's in the chat right now, I'm pretty sure. Hi Zine, love you Zine. Me and him have, every time I end up coming back to discussions of tension, because one of the things we love him for on the show a little bit, I still can't do it, is the
No.
trend towards him turning out songs that sound like advertising. I was going to send you some stuff as well, Z. Now, go look up One Republic, Life in Color, if you want to find the most... Please, Sonny, stop for a second.
I'm making
Sonny.
tension.
It's not... an
Yeah, you're
advert-
making tension, annoying tension. Stop.
Okay, fair. Yeah, if you want the most archetypal example of a song that was so clearly made for advertising that it's not even funny, One Republic's Life in Color is literally the TV song. As in, like,
Awesome.
companies like LG and stuff
We
used it for their
farmers.
TVs.
Bum, ba, da, bum, bum, bum.
And I feel like it was intentionally written to be that. But one of the reasons it works
was.
that way, and this song as well is fitting in that free music vlogger territory, is tension. That always tends to be what comes, and tension is what generates drama. And if we're gonna move between different mediums, because I love doing that. If you have a stage play or a TV show that you like, there is no drama unless there is tension. And you can take that into songwriting too, using, I mean, this is often what things like the circle of fifths and general harmonic theory is all about. It's about how do you introduce tension into the piece without ruining the vibe.
Well, and also, like, you need a... Okay, for, like, this piece, my like, I've heard this melody before. I've heard every aspect of this other than the end piano. And if that's what it feels like, is that you heard it too, and you just do them all together. You want to bring some originality into it.
I'll mute
Is
you
what I
if
would-
you're not careful, young man.
I shall mute him. Bye-bye, Sonny. No, I'm just kidding. That's what it feels like. It just feels like they heard it enough on YouTube by watching small YouTubers, and they woke up and they go, I got a great idea for a song, and it's been done, but they don't impart their own personality into it. Like, put yourself into it.
Experiment also. Try to
Yeah.
screw up. Try to screw, like, don't worry about getting it right. Just do anything. Because that's another thing as well. When it's so easy when you're starting out to say I must make the perfect song now, and that often leads you to making very, very safe creative decisions.
Yeah. I think we all do that sometimes.
Well, yeah, but it's easy to do when you're worried about the idea of, oh, I'm starting on this journey with this brand new thing, I must be good at it now.
Yeah, and it really feels like they're just, like, copying something that they remember they heard, and that's what this really feels like.
I'm always freaking paranoid.
And I don't
about
like
that.
ripping people's visions apart, but that's what this feels like to me. Is like it wasn't really their vision; they just heard it somewhere and they kind of put it together from what they remember.
I had a
That
song
brings
I
me
was-
to an interesting
okay.
interesting viewpoint. A lot of times I think getting better is you just have a lot of references and you listen to different songs until you have enough references to make your own song out of it. So no idea is ever truly original, not saying they aren't. But
Oh no, I totally
everything
agree
is
with
built
you.
up of a ton of different things that you've heard over the years. Like I listened to music before I made music, and I use things that I've heard in music to make music, whether I know it or not. I've gone back to another song and found that I put it exact same sound in the exact same way on top of a song that sounded nothing like the song that I mentioned. Carry on.
And
Well, I get told a lot that my stuff
Oh, no.
it feels very familiar to them, and I use that. I mean, I do a lot of familiar things in my music, but I do that not. It's an artistic choice because I want them to relate to it. I want them to feel like they've heard it their whole life, and there's nothing wrong with doing what you did. It's just you got to put your own self into it too, or it just or it's just not a bad copy of somebody else's work. And that's what we're trying to get you to actually start expressing yourself through the music, not expressing where you heard this from. That would be my biggest takeaway for this: is put yourself in this.
All right, Nathaniel, what were you saying?
no, I mean I think that sums it up in a way that's good point to move on. Keep up the good work. I mean, I do think that on the whole you had some wonderful ideas in there, and we do not want to discourage you in the slightest. Keep
No.
producing, make fun stuff, have fun with it, chuck an organ on top of an orchestra and for the sake of it, I don't know. Like, I mean, physically do it. You gotta leverage it. Get
Throw
the
the
rope up
Pornhub
there.
drum line on there.
Crush the orchestra. No, I do not. I'm not promoting murder. I'm very sorry. This is in Minecraft, okay?
Okay,
Next-
okay. In Minecraft, yes.
In Minecraft, it's allowed. Had Stop Falling in Love by they're in Donna in the chat. Apparently they don't like the vocals in this. I'm not sure why. Be interesting to see why. Watch this. That's
Okay.
a remix or something unintentionally. Let's find out.
Nice opening.
Everything that you carry, any luggage you take, all the ghosts you keep in hiding, they don't scare me away. No, 'cause I can't stop falling in love with you. I won't stop falling in love with you. I can't stop falling in love with you. With you, I can't stop falling in love with you. With you, I can't stop falling in love with you. With you. There's a past that keeps on calling, or if fear keeps you awake. I won't let a scar keep me from your lips. I catch every tear from your face. 'Cause I can't stop falling in love with you. I won't stop falling in love with you. I can't stop falling in love with you. With you, I can't stop falling in love with you. With you, I can't stop falling in love with you. With you. With you.
With you.
I can tell you what's wrong. I know why you don't like the vocals.
They're really nasally.
It's not even that. It's the fact that, for one, they're not lining up with the music. They're just milliseconds off all over the place. Two, like, it's so freaking repetitive. And I just did Hunger Till I Die. There's two versions of it. And my problem with the version that's not up now is that it was just so empty, so repetitive, and I thought it sounded great until I realized that the problem was it was just so repetitive, and that's the problem with this. And they're not lining up too. Like, if it's not lining up, it's gonna make it feel like it's off. So you need to get it to line up a little bit better. So you're like milliseconds off, and that can really change how you feel about the song. On top of that, like, her vocals feel really raw, and you need to process them a little bit more. A little bit of reverb on it would be good. Maybe some delays in certain spots would be great too. Harmonize them out also on certain words. But, like, it's just empty because it's just the same phrase over and over and over again. And it's a good piece. I like it. The music, by the way, extraordinary. I mean, great job with that. But that's
very,
why
very
you feel
poppy.
like that's why you feel like the vocals are off. Like, that's so complete while the lyrics are so empty.
I mean,
I mean, if you can get more of her vocals in there, it's not just saying the same phrase over and over again. This piece would be really good.
The other thing would be to obviously manipulate it in a way that actually does change how she's singing. If I'm singing the same thing over and over again, I'm not going to sing it the same way of this every time, but I also might make deliberately large alterations to how I'm saying it. So it'd be like, rather than just saying "with you," I might say "with you." Suddenly I've changed the timing, and that's changed the emphasis. Now, obviously, I've got a limited number of. If you've got a limited number of samples, to work from, it does make it harder. It's obviously easier just to get the real vocalist to do the thing.
Right.
But it doesn't mean you can't digitally manipulate it. You've got tools like pitch correction and Melodyne to create one little variations in there, and then you just chop the shit out of it. So that
and change the
move
arrangement of the
timing.
lyrics too.
Yeah.
Change the arrangement of the lyrics.
I was gonna suggest new tone actually.
I would
Whatever,
suggest they
it
need to
doesn't
cut
matter.
up the stems a hell of a lot more. Cut up every word and rearrange them around, and create new
Sentences.
versions of it. Yeah, I mean, you have enough stems there. Give it a little bit of variation, even if it's a tiny bit.
I know some
That's
very, very
why
mad.
the vocals feel wrong.
I also know there's some very, very mad people out there. My brain can't think of any specific examples out there, but there are people out there who will chop up consonants and vowels from entire phrases. I mean, this is kind of how deep fakes work. They've automated the process now for spoken word, but there are people out there, producers, who will chop up every word in an entire spoken phrase into little
Every
bits.
syllable too.
And create entirely new words, entirely out of those syllables and vowels and whatever. And they're mad, it takes forever. But, you can get that level of variation if you're precise and patient enough. That's the thing for me. I have no patience for that. I mean, as a singer myself, what I do is I just, I'll just re-record it or keep recording more takes until I get the bits I want. I don't have, I'm an instant gratification kind of guy. But the option is there. And if you really, if you really like the timbre of this specific vocalist, and you can't get any more of her voice, you can manufacture it. And it just requires
You're
a
gonna
lot
have
of.
to.
Yeah.
The thing is, I was really let down by this piece. Like, the music's so good underneath. Like, you need a real vocalist that you have more than just these lines. It's a great piece. That's why it annoys you, though.
Yes.
Like, the music's really good in this. Am I wrong?
I mean, other than the fact that it's slamming too hard near to your limiter, which is why people are experiencing the pumping, the actual musicality of it and the production side of it is great. Definitely solid job.
Yeah, I can't speak on the production. I'm listening for construction, melody.
Yeah, in terms of
note
construction,
selection.
can't fault it. Sunny.
I also noticed there was a lot of transients on that pluck in the beginning, and then they suddenly disappeared. I actually
Yeah, it's
don't
been-
mind
Actually, I
the
like that.
transienty thing.
I liked it, though. That's
liked it,
why
that's
I
what I was
liked the
thinking.
opening. Yeah, that's like that. That's a brilliant
And then
way
they
to do
disappeared
that.
when the vocals came in.
Yeah, it was good.
The guy on the top
You
left.
got a really good
really
house
well.
vibe
You are-
here.
Are you left?
You've got a really good
You're
house
right.
vibe here.
Which direction? Yeah. they're top,
Some things you can do
let's-
with vocals.
So
Hold on.
top
Alright.
me sung it pretty well.
I'm
Nathan,
alright.
yeah, Nathan's a good singer.
I tried to be. I mean, sometimes I still screw up.
Yeah, it's not you, Sonny. You're not a good singer.
Sonny's a great singer.
I feel
He just-
like
No, Sonny's a good singer. I just giving him crap.
I feel like I'm a terrible solo singer. I've sung in a choir
You know
for
what's-
my life.
you know
so
what
I don't have a very
Sonny's good at?
Solo sound.
You know what Sonny's really good at? Like making
Being
really
annoying.
good sounds so people can clip them and make music out of it. Get it, Sonny.
That's what I use my
Come on.
voice for most
Come
of
on,
the
go
time.
boing, 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 boing. Come on.
Boing,
do it.
boing, doing, 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 doing.
There's you a growl.
There you go.
So you got a really good house vibe here. The vocal, I've found that I would soak vocals
Baco.
with way too much reverb. That's something I did a lot in the past. I've taken to actually separating or like copying my vocal or sending it to two tracks where one track has a lot of reverb, one track has not so much reverb and is typically louder. The drier one's louder because I found that I would put so much reverb that the vocals would actually fade into the background. So that's a way you can give some space to your vocals without pushing them back. That's what I've done. I don't know what you think about that, Clowns. What do you think about that?
It's parallel processing.
I would play with it and do something like that. I mean, it wouldn't be a bad thing. It'd give it some change that's much needed. But yeah, they're gonna have to slice this all to hell just to make this not boring. And I would honestly, the music's really good on its own. I'd strip the vocals out and try to find you an actual vocalist that you can get the exact song that you want.
Well, apparently I have the
And
right
what I
timbre
really
for it,
think-
so-
I would get
really
Nathan to
think
do
we
it.
should do.
I would say get Nathan to do it.
I
But
mean,
after he does Baco's stuff, because we don't want to make Baco mad.
oh, we've got. I mean, it's all right. I will figure out time for everything. I actually generally deadlines are good for me. They force me to actually get stuff done. So I'll make.
But at
space
the end of
for
the day,
everybody.
musically, this is a great piece. I love the music in it. Your structure's great.
If you want to use the same melody or the vocal line and just have someone else sing it differently, definitely experiment with the octaves. She stays pretty much within the same vocal range the entire song. Start a little lower at the beginning of the song, like I get really personal.
It was her vocals are definitely
first of all, the microphone
processed.
goes da-da-da-do, da-da-da-do. And as time goes on, you can go da-da-da-do, something like that, you know?
You're a bastard. That hurt my ear.
Sorry, I pulled back with the microphone, but I guess not very far.
You leaned into
also-
it and whispered,
need-
and I started listening. And then you go,
Da,
blah.
da, 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 da.
Da-da-da.
Doop, doop.
All right. Definitely
so would I.
when you
I
go
like the melody,
contact your
too.
vocal.
I liked
When you go-
how she sung it. It's just, it wasn't enough. That's the problem.
Something really important. Don't make the same mistake other people have made. If you get a vocalist to do this who isn't, Nathaniel, ask them to send you multiple versions of it. Like multiple takes. Don't have them only send you one, because there's a lot of interesting things you can do. You can layer all three. You can pan one to the left, one to the right. Get some interesting panning. Definitely get multiple and ask
I'm
for
lazy. I
ad
only
libs as
ever
well.
do one
Definitely
take. If you
ask
don't
for
like it,
ad libs.
Goodbye.
You and Yes Please should form a band. He only ever does like instant one take things.
I don't do instant one take. I actually take, I literally, my stuff, it takes hundreds of takes for me to get what I'm looking for. So,
I'm a little lazy. I'll take like 15 different takes and I'll chop them up. Like if I really like the way I sung one part, I'll use that part and cut it out, and I'll throw it together with the other parts, and I end up having a cobble together bit
See, I never
of phrases
cut
that I
mine
like the
up.
way I sung them.
I
But
never
that's
cut
how
mine
I've done
up.
my
I
vocals
should
because
do
I'm
that.
lazy. I don't ever.
Oh, it's so much
I don't
fun.
ever push to do
It's so much
one
fun.
perfect take.
I mean, sometimes I
And
will
another
nail
thing
it.
you can do with vocals, especially if the reverb isn't built into the vocal. If the reverb is built
Oh
into
yeah,
the
you're
vocal, good
amazing
luck.
with Vox Baco. You're just freaking a wizard.
But feel free to completely chop up the vocal. Like I've seen people chop up vocals, take like vowels and such, pitch them up and stretch them out, and to make entire melodies out of it. Like something like that.
Hold on, I
Don't
see a
sample that,
violin
please.
preset.
Please don't sample that.
A violin preset
Say
for
what?
what?
Is that what's
Oh no,
going
I
on?
found. Yeah, this song is called "I Found the Violin Preset 1.1." It's by.
I
Big-
play violin. I love playing violin, so this better be
Well,
good.
this is gonna be interesting then. I like strings.
I've been playing
thing.
violin since '82, and I love playing. I just don't.
I gotta.
You're
I
like
don't-
1,000
I
years
don't-
old, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm freaking old.
You're an elf. You're Gandalf, or Nah,
He's
you're,
an old
you're more of a
fox.
Galadriel type,
I'm
really
Gandalf with
serene.
clown makeup on.
1 point for Gryffindor.
Oh no.
Yes.
All right, I
Yes.
found the violin preset 1.1. Alright, just SoundCloud! Stop it! Oh, at least it's another Bingbo track. So let's see. I muted everyone just to burp. Right, everyone's back. And I need to put back on the screen. Oh no. Burp.
I can't believe you've done this, honestly.
I can't believe I've done this.
I can't believe you've done
Did
this.
you touch me somewhere? Oh, sorry. Go on.
This is so this is so close. Like this song, in terms of overall progression, absolutely wonderful ambient place. And you know, you said got some feedback from us about stereo separation before in the past,
yeah.
It's very very separated, but now you have to learn how to EQ in stereo.
And panning is just awful in this.
I mean, I think a lot of it though is to do with everything has been panned, but because it's all trying to occupy exactly the same stereo field, like in terms of frequency response as well, you've got all your really really high piercing sounds that are also trying to occupy the extreme left and extreme right, and physically sound doesn't work that way. I mean, it's a bit like
can only take so much info.
That as well, that doesn't help. It's like there's the Doppler effect with a car going by, and you know, if you hear it, it's like, and it sort of gets sort of more bassy the closer it gets to you, and then it goes away, and the bass drops. But you'll also notice it's like a high pass filter is coming on the top, and the high end is also, or is it a low pass? I can always get my brain's all mixing up words. A low pass filter on the top. So it's like all the high end suddenly comes down as the car goes away as well, because it's sort of a roar to the engine. It's not just the bass of the engine, there's a lot of other harmonics going on. And it's the same thing with panning and stereo frequency separation. Don't want the stuff at the very edges to have the same level of depth in terms of bass or high end. Because when you do that, it makes it feel like we're actually sitting really close to it. So like, yes, it's on our right, but it's like you're blaring, you know, I'd say you got two synths that have those ear trumpet amplifier things, and they're just like right here, when what you're really trying to do is have them sit over there. And it won't, because your frequency response is wrong. Clowns.
My turn. Okay.
Yeah.
This guy is not gonna like me. I'm sorry. I can definitely tell this is not played, and it really. Halfway through, I just stopped listening to the violin. I had to, because it was just like, you're holding your notes way too long. This is unplayable by any violinist, and most of them are just going to hate you if this ever catches on. Because people are going to want them to play it exactly how you're doing it, and they're just going to despise you. It's just not playable. Construction-wise, it's pretty much the same thing all the way through. There's not much variation. Yeah, everybody had that spacey vibe, but that's from the violin. And once I stop listening to that, there's not much else there, right? It's very empty, and that's why they're getting that spacey kind of vibe. And construction-wise, it needs more variation. It needs more instruments to come in and take out the frequencies that are empty. And I would look at violinists if you're gonna use violin, and you don't want to tick them off. I would go look at them and look how long they hold notes for, because that would help a lot.
Oh, actually, another suggestion. There's this free software called Labs, and it's actually going to follow into what I was going to say about panning. There's a
free
preset
software?
on there. Yeah, it's free, completely free. Spitfire Audio. It's called Labs.
Oh, Labs.
Um,
I
and
misheard
you
you.
can-
I thought it was something I hadn't heard before.
You can download all sorts of different sounds on there, and almost all the songs where you hear strings, I'll often use the string preset in there. Now you'll notice, and I was kind of confused by this when I first noticed it, there's some panning going on with the violin, where it's almost like where my hands are in the frequency spectrum. Like the low sounds are over here and the high sounds are kind of over here, and they're not all directly in the middle or off to the side. It's actually one side of the mix is actually usually a little higher than the other. And that leads me into, have you considered looking at literally orchestras actually? I've never suggested this kind of thing, I've never tried it, but with the ambient sound you have, taking a look at an orchestra and seeing where they put their instruments and panning your synth sounds accordingly, I think is an idea
Yeah, the
that
panning
might
on this,
actually
there
work.
was parts of it that just, there was nothing in my left ear, and then there was parts where it was everything everywhere, and then there was parts where, like, the right ear was overly flooded, and it was drowning out the left. Your brain can only take so much information, so whenever you're panning, it's jumping like that, the brain doesn't know what to do, so it'll start shutting stuff off so it can make sense, and that's what's going on here.
What did you think of my suggestion, Clowns? Taking a look
I think
at
your
actual
suggestion's actually
orchestras?
great for this. I'm not good at panning myself, and luckily I work. Baco is like who I would talk to for panning, or other producers that actually deal with it a lot. Baco is looked at my panning and said, "Don't do that." So I would look at Baco for, he would be the person I would be like, how do you pan this correctly? And your suggestion is actually probably what he would do, honestly.
Yeah, Baco's been saying a lot of stuff in the chat that actually probably would work really well. Just set everything to audio filter or auto filter at 10 kilohertz, going at different amounts and varying polarities.
He was joking with that one. That was a sarcastic suggestion.
I was like, I don't know
You were
what
like,
that
"Oh,
means,
that
but it
sounds
sounds like he
amazing."
knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, no, that was a troll. Don't listen to that piece of advice. It sucks.
But another thing that he mentioned,
listen
a
to
cool thing to
everything
do
Baco
with
says, he
instruments
jokes
you
about.
want to make seem real is set up an LFO that modulates the pitch by 3 or -3 cents and panning it by 1 to 2 degrees. Which I guess would be where vibrato comes in. Am I wrong there? That would be essentially vibrato, is what that would be.
Where
Like,
that's where vibrato would sit, but that's not vibrato. I mean,
I'm gonna try that and make it work just to spite you, Baco.
Next up, we have one of my longtime friends, 17 Pigeons. And there is a whole mythos behind the pigeon's name. All the pigeons, they have names. I cannot remember said names because I suck at names. But yeah, this is needs vocals. Apparently, this might be added to my queue. I don't know.
Let's find
yeah.
Pan flute, nice.
So, the SoundCloud's not. That's good.
Is anyone else's head still vibrating after hearing that?
Okay.
Fine. A little bit.
This, I just want to say, I started
I've got
laughing
earbuds
because
in.
this song, okay, so back in, I want to say, 2008, there was a YouTuber that did something. This sounds like a modern version of a song I heard. And I looked it up and I can't find it. It was a song called "Step on the Babies," and it's the same progression after the drop. And that's all I could hear the whole way through was "Step on the Babies," just over and over, and it's just like just massive flashbacks.
Another instance of that. I was listening to Skyfall Adele, heard this offbeat string sound, and immediately thought Gangster Paradise. Now I think of that song every time I listen to Skyfall by Adele.
Yeah, I haven't heard that song in like forever. I think it was like 2007 or 2008 when it came out, and it was just this little YouTuber, and it just was called "Step on the Babies," and that's all he said through the whole thing. And this just was like that drop was like, I just started laughing as soon as I heard it because I've heard that drop, and I'm like, holy crap! It's just a modern version of it too. It's a better drop actually, but
Makes
it's
me
very
think
close.
of baseball, actually. Like the bassy sounds he's got there, it makes me think of baseball. Which I'm not
Yeah, it
sure
kinda
why I'm
does.
being drawn to that conclusion, but I am.
Yeah, very clean track though. By the way, like really
Baseball.
good. Don't do the lyrics. "Step on my baby" in this. All right, but
Stepping
I
on
actually like
my
this.
baby. Wah, 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 wah,
Yeah,
wah, wah,
you're
stepping
gonna let him
on
sample
my
you
baby.
out,
Wah,
right?
wah, 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 wah.
I mean,
Oh boy, I need to stop doing this to myself, man.
okay. In terms of constructive feedback, obviously, if it needs vocals, that's gonna change the overall dynamic. But I also felt like it was maybe a little dry in places in terms of, just automation and filtering. It could do with just a moment where you don't have so much sub because it's constant throughout the entire track. I mean, when Sonny says his head was vibrating still afterwards, that's not wrong in terms of the impact of the track because the sub is so heavy throughout the entire track.
Oh, you'd only be able to hear that in a car. If you played it in a car, you would only feel the sub.
Yeah.
I mean, what sort of vocal style would you have over something like this? Because I feel like obviously my default is very new wavy, sort of singer-songwriter kind of thing, but something like that wouldn't work over a track like this. I feel like you'd want a rapper over this, if anything.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, I don't even like rap. Especially today's rap, but I was thinking, something rappy like, I don't know, I had it in my head, but it's gone now. But
Somebody with a
something
deep,
rappy would
gravelly
definitely work
voice
here.
rapping would actually be really good on this.
Ba-dow,
Yeah,
ba-dow, ba-da-da-dow,
You want someone with a
da-dow,
flow
something
that
like
can, because I mean, it's it's not in 4/4, like not really. And
Or
you need
pop.
someone who,
That's interesting.
honestly, thinking more pop. I mean, maybe, but you
I don't
need a
think
really,
pop would go good with this. No,
you need
I
a
don't
really
think it would.
fun singer, like someone who's able to sort of speech sing it. I think that if you're gonna go.
Hey,
pop
I'm
it with someone
walking
who-
here.
No, please don't. Please stop. Don't do that. Don't. But otherwise, I mean, I definitely lean towards the spoken side of the spectrum more than anything else because the bass sounds are so sustained.
Yeah,
that
Chainsmokers. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that the vocalists would be competing against the bass in terms of how sustained it is, and it's not physically possible really to actually do that successfully in a way that'll make any theoretical sense. Kind of raspy, maybe. Yeah, that could work. I think you've got the right idea. Macadona? I feel like you'll have to tell me how to pronounce her name. Macardona? Anyway. The overall length of the track, I think, works. I think it's not like overstaying its welcome or anything. It is fairly... Cardona. Okay, I see. It's initials on the start. Makes sense. I'm just an idiot.
Matthew Cardona.
We're gonna have to start guessing people's names based on their pseudonyms. I'd also maybe just add more variation in your higher end percussion, things like hats and shakers and stuff to provide a little bit more forward momentum. Because I think that's ever so slightly lacking in terms of energy distribution across your track. But on the whole, I mean, it was fun to listen to. Anyone else got any more comments before we move on?
It just gave me as soon as I hit the flashback, I was done. I couldn't critique this because I was just over. So unfortunately, I can't really give much feedback on this. It just took
I
me
wouldn't
back
be sure
like
what
a
to say
couple
about
decades.
this one. This was definitely not something
I
I've
liked
heard
it.
before.
I liked it.
It was
I liked
interesting. It was
I liked the
interesting in
progression
like
the
a
first time I
weird.
heard
I
it
don't know
years
what to
ago.
say about this way.
Yeah, it's so
Right.
good. I liked it.
So
Calm
next
down.
up, we
Great-
have
great name.
the wonderful Chris the Wizard, who hasn't been here in a hot minute. Well, it's good to have you here, mate. So this
Chrissy
is
Wizzy.
Chrissy. No, it's Chris the Wizard. You must say it with reverence.
Whiz.
Saying it now.
Calm down. Into your being, oh your heart. Inhale. Calm down. Start to feel. Breathe in energy. Exhale calmly. Slow. Into your being. Feel the deep inhale. Calm down. Breathe in energy. Exhale calmly. Slow. Calm down. Invite those breaths into your being. Feel the deep inhale. Calm down. Breathe in energy. The prana. Exhale calmly. Slow. Calm down. Invite those breaths into your being and full of energy. Calm down. To expand energy. Exhale calmly. Filling the whole being with prana. Calm down.
That was intense. Oh, I mean that. It's very trip hoppy. You got listed here as down tempo, but that's a very pop vibe going on there, and I really love
Like a
how
hyper pop?
heavy.
No, not hyper pop.
No, trip hop is like massive attack and tricky and Portishead and all that kind of 90s.
Let's rock around that tricky.
No, that's not what I'm thinking. God damn it. We're going to have to educate you, boy. Oh, sorry, I've got a little bit of a cold.
Gonna clip that.
I have very little suggestions for improving this because that was amazing. I think that mainly it'd be just incorporate that spoken sample into your space a little more in terms of artistic effects. creative licensing on how you're processing it. And I think it's just as simple as maybe occasionally check on something like a dub delay on your spoken samples, so that it sort of, that kind of old school tape effect kind of thing would work really well with the atmosphere you've created here. It's ironic as well. It's called Calm Down, and the spoken sample.
Stream went down.
What?
Stream went down.
Oh no! What do you mean?
Oh wait.
Stream
no,
looks
it
fine to
didn't.
me.
Yeah.
I don't
No,
know
still.
why.
I'm watching it
think
right
it's just
now.
him.
It's,
Anyway, that's fine. Everyone else can still hear me. It's like Calm Down, and the spoken sample's like, take it easy. Ironic. And it's like, it doesn't make me relaxed, but it's also like, it's really powerful to listen to. Like,
Okay.
it's so satisfying. I don't know about you.
I think
What
you
do
do
guys
need to
think?
re-record the vocals though.
don't-
Because
I
how
have
you're
is the
saying
question.
down, okay, so people ask me how I come up with my lyrics and stuff. All I kept hearing whenever you said calm down was condom. That's all I kept hearing.
Oh no!
oh yeah,
Wait
you
a-
really gotta overpronounce your vocals to make sure
Yeah.
they stick, especially when
That's
you slather them. with
my
reverb
only
and effects.
complaint.
You gotta
And I'm just
overpronounce.
trying not to laugh the whole time I was listening to it. Because my brain is so weird, it takes stuff and it plays with it. And when you were doing I love this. Like, I was expecting like a different drop when it hit. And I loved it. Like, it was like, okay, this is good. But then as soon as you started saying calm down, all I kept hearing was condom, condom, condom. This is like, what the heck?
Oh no! Oh,
It's a great
you
piece
know-
though. Like, I loved that. I loved it. It's great.
The funny thing as well, Chris the Wizard is totally the type to make a song about a condom. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
this is his,
It is a great message. It is a great message. But that's what I'm hearing whenever
But,
your words are pushing together and you're using, like, instead of a wah sound, you're using ma on the down. So it sounds like you're saying condom. I mean, it's going to be one of these where lots of people are going to think it's called condom.
Oh no, it's going to make you unsearchable.
And now every time anybody listens to this, that's all they're going to hear, by the way.
But man, aside from that, no complaints.
I loved it. The music was great. Like, you really, if you were going for making people uncomfortable, you fucking nailed it. And I loved it, by the way. I loved it.
Oh boy, this
Funny,
is
Eddie.
like you're trying to exchange breaths with the trees, man. Breathe in, bliss out. That's kind of what this is making me look at it like. Also, I really want to know what crunchy of bass effect you're putting on there, because it's a really interesting sound. I just wanted to know what effect chain you run through that. As for I can't give you any critiques on how you actually want to improve this song, but I can offer
Trash
something to the
2,
vocals.
hey.
And I think it would add to the effect you've got going on. What do you think of this, Mr. Wizard? I actually suggest a very childish, like, female vocal higher up, where it's like, breathe deep, calm down, layered in with the very deep
She
and
has
low
to be
male
Canadian.
voice.
Too.
No.
Like an almost childy like closed
Uh,
mouth nasally sound almost.
No.
Oh, you got some disagreement.
Going against
dissent in the
everything we
ranks.
suggested.
It would
What do you
ruin. It
think?
would ruin the vibe that's set in this. Like, no.
Like, really subtly. Just
What you
sitting
could
there on
do.
the top.
What you could do though. What you could do is a little kid laughing underneath it. Could bring
just
up that
pitch it way
eeriness.
down and then put
Yeah,
a bunch
and
of reverb
would
on
make it really eerie.
Yeah.
Bring in that
remix of
eeriness.
one of your
But even then, I
meditations.
wouldn't even do it.
Interesting.
I wouldn't even do it because, like, he captured that eerie feeling that you hear, that you're getting by the end of it. Like, I wouldn't even do it. Like, it's really good.
What do you think at the beginning of a phrase where he's saying calm down, where it's the female vocal saying calm, and it just cuts out, like, EQ'd out really quickly as he says down?
It could get too messy as the problem, and when the focus really is on that slidey beat.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want to drag away from that, and that suggestion that you're making would really pull away from it. And you don't want to pull away from that, you know.
All right, yeah, I could see what you're running through. It's just what came to mind. So maybe you
it's
could
what
do
we
that
want.
something with that
Ideas.
Chrissy Wizzy condom man.
Condom man.
God.
I do love this piece. It's great.
Not enough
it had me
reverence in
laughing
your
all the way
tone
through.
there, you young man.
Mr.
Chris the
Condom
Wizard,
Man.
he's an icon.
Oh, Chris is fucking great. That's a great piece. I
Mr.
love that.
Condom Man.
What do you think of that? Is that enough reference?
Maybe.
I'm done. Okay.
Next up, we have Wishloft with Summer in Rio.
Okay, great name. I like creativity. Let's do this.
Boop, boop, boop. Short and sweet, that one. Only a minute
on,
and
Sonny.
24 seconds.
It's
How long can you
elevator
monologue?
music.
Elevator
This
music.
is elevator music. It started sounding like a jazzy lo-fi
Well, man, it basically
and
is a
with the
jabby
click and
lo-fi.
the transient to that, and then the staticky pobbles you have in there. You know, I could 100% just be on my phone, sitting in the corner like this, just kind of like that.
I thought
while the
that
elevator's slowly
those
going up.
pops, the static pops are too
While
much.
linking up, you
You
know.
need to pull it back a little.
Yeah.
honestly.
You could probably fix that with a little bit of EQ. I think they're really good where they are. I just need to pull away from the intensity. So
There's just too many.
Maybe cut a little bit of the high end with an EQ, or push them more into the background.
For
Yeah,
me,
there's
the
just-
focus
that's just too
area.
much.
The focus area should be actually as well the bass region. What I've found is with these headphones, especially as they've aged, I've noticed that certain certain bass sounds are really loud, it doesn't sound like a bass anymore. It just sounds like my entire headphones are just vibrating themselves apart, which is one, very worrying about the health of these headphones, but two, it's actually pointing out really heavily, one, when I've gotten too loud, but also when something's overemphasized, because while that was very loud, nothing else really was pulling up to the same level. So I'd have a look at just looking at that kick and any other bass sounds you have, and just pulling, it's somewhere around the 70 to 100 hertz range that tends to do it the most for this effect in my headphones right now. And just pull it down a little bit around that region, because it's like it's distorting and it's actually ruining your subharmonic. And also maybe just nudge it down in terms of gain staging, down volume a little bit might help. Obviously with this sort of lo-fi hip-hop thing, in terms of arrangement, it is very, very common in the genre for it to be a very, very short track. So I mean, I don't think that that's necessarily a problem in that regard. But I also feel like it's missing a couple of instruments. This could do with a saxophone, like a really sexy saxophone.
That is not a sex, honey. And I play jazz a lot. Okay, I love jazz. I love funk, rock, pop. Those are the genres I play in. This did not feel like a jazz piece at all. It felt like an attempt at a jazz piece. That like you don't know the elements that go into like jazz. It feels like it's like somebody who's been playing for maybe a year, and this is their attempt for it. I like the elements of it. It sounds good, but like there's no variations. as you're moving through it. And the pop really was really annoying me. You got to tone that back a little bit. And yeah, it's elevator music, and elevator music usually isn't good for the most part.
And there's an entire genre like people
Yeah.
making music that sounds just like this, and they're very popular. People love it.
Yeah, I'm just not a fan of this.
Another idea. An idea I just had. A lot of times I've suggested
The piano
using
is
this
probably the
kind of
best
thing
part of
as
this,
an
by the way.
intro. What if you had it like break down and then remove the filter and then progress into like a full-on song? So that was just the intro, and you build it up into this song without the filter. What do you think of that, Mr. Clown?
That wouldn't be bad. I would focus on getting all the instruments up to where the piano is, honestly, because the piano is probably the best part of this. And wherever you got the piano, if you're playing it or whatever, that was spot on. It's the drums that weren't. It was. It's missing a lot. It needs some loving care.
I want to hear some
Yeah.
Nope, no.
Yeah, you need variation. Jazz is very variant, right?
That's not at all what I was going for. I like
And usually,
Loose
whenever you're
wrists.
playing jazz, you're trying to play.
Loose wrists.
Yeah, whisks.
Okay.
It's kind of like a bass breakdown. You ever hear those?
Oh, we're closing out with me again. Awesome.
Hey, that's pretty good.
I like closing out the show.
I mean, it's fun having guests close out the show.
Clown ball gags.
Next up, we have Cardona on. They've got one more entry, then Baco after that with a second entry, and then Clowns and Holo Weird, which I guess technically a second entry because Baco submitted one of yours as well. I don't know.
Well, no, that would be my first entry. This one I submitted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The city lights never got me going. Never thought I'd be the type to chase a dream. And if I gotta go at it alone, I know the ride will be worth it to me. And everything's out on the table, and there you are. Everything I've wanted is laid out in front of me, but I can't help but think my time with you's too short. So come with me and chase this dream. Chase this dream. Come with me and chase this dream. Come with, come with, come with, now. 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 Small town life won't be forever. They say the other side's where the grass is really green. And if I get on any big jet plane, I want you there by my side to see it. And everything's out on the table. Do you like what you see? Everything I've wanted is laid out in front of me, but I can't help but think my time with you's too short. So come with me and chase the
So I mean, some of our advice earlier was also applies to this a little bit as well, and then that the vocals need to be realigned. Also, it's interesting you're going for the tropical house vibe here. Tropical house. I never really got into
It
tropical
needs more
house.
dutes if it's going to be tropical house.
Well, I mean, I'd rather it didn't, to be honest. I mean, I never really enjoyed how similar all these sounds, like all these songs that came out around the time that Kygo got big, just it was so oversaturated that I would not recommend going further in that direction personally. But that's a matter of taste more than actually being good advice. So I'd like to know what you guys think, and maybe I can build off that.
The vocals feel really thick and wide in the low ends, despite being so wispy, which I'm not entirely sure why that is. It's kind of perplexing me. The piano sounds very narrow and slim, and it also really contrasts with the vocal, and I almost want to hear something in the low end with the piano. It feels like it was completely cut out, but I think you need a little bit more wideness to that piano to make it sound a little less corny, I want to say. What do you guys think?
Okay, so like the vocals, the problem is the vocals are really good. Okay, the vocals are outstanding, but the music doesn't match those vocals. That's kind of the problem here. With those kind of vocals, the piano's not the right instrument to be having there. You need a guitar. I would go with acoustic actually with those vocals. On top of that, like you need to process them. As good as I think the vocals are, they need some processing. And I don't like the chops that you did. You have great vocals there. I wouldn't chop them up the way you did. It just made it feel awkward and didn't fit at all. And maybe you're trying to expand it out or whatever. I'm not sure why you cut it the way you did. But because of what you're playing, you need an instrument that matches the tone that he's putting out. And the guitar's really what you want to do. Maybe E, F, and G. For the progression on the guitar would be a nice little subtle progression that could play underneath it that would like prop up his voice. The instruments that you're doing right now aren't propping his voice up; they're actually pulling his voice down and giving that offset that you were saying. It makes it feel thin, right? So instrument selection
You're talking about the piano, right?
Right. Yeah,
thin.
it's really dragging it down and
compared to
making
how
it
wide
feel
the
thin.
vocals are, it feels strange.
Yeah, so it's just not the right instrument. So I would go back to sound design, and I would bring in a guitar instead of a piano, and maybe bring in honestly a harp would be good with his voice too, playing in the background. Even
Do you think
a violin
strumming or an arpeggiated guitar would work better?
Strumming, I would definitely do strumming with that voice because his voice is very nice and carries the song right now. Even with it being thinned out, the voice is great. The selection of the instruments was poor with that voice. The construction of the song, I'm going to get to that now. Music wise, very nice. If the vocals weren't there, I'd still say it was a good piece. Your construction was very interesting, and it followed typical structure of song progression. The piano didn't carry much emotion through as it progressed, and there wasn't enough variations, but it still held the piece very nicely together. So there is some cohesion there, but like we're saying, there's some mids that are missing, there's some highs that are missing, there's lows that are missing. So it's kind of empty right now. So I would go back to doing some design, bring in a bass, bring in a guitar, and leave the drums the way they are, and set the mood that way. It's a good piece. I think there's a lot of potential here, and I would look at how you chopped up the vocals and don't do that again.
Instead of having it fade in and out like that, make it more staccato, I think, because you've got really flowy vocals.
That would actually
like,
work. Good suggestion.
Ooh-ah-da, or do-da-da-dee-dee-doo-da, something like that, you know? Like, really just chop it up, staccato it up, and turn it into, like, not an arpeggio, but like a melody line almost. Like,
Yeah, it would be a melody.
You got
line.
really flowy vocals. You've got that piano pad going off and off again. And yes, it is constantly hitting.
And honestly,
it's not staccato. It's very flowy.
One of the things that you can do is bring in another vocal. I mean, if you don't have enough vocals for that, bring in another vocal there that's doing exactly what he's saying, and expand it out that way. I mean, and you have a nice piece here. It just needs to be reworked.
If you are going to
I
chop
like
up vocals, definitely vowels though. Vowels will hit a little harder. So go for
Yeah.
vowels.
Yeah, it's definitely, there's a lot of potential here, and I actually want to go and play it on the piano, not on the piano, on the guitar and bass right now. It's sticking in my head. So you have an earworm effect here. It's just you chose the wrong instruments.
What do you think of a really strumming guitar and maybe like a high up ukulele plucking along?
A ukulele would be good too. Actually, I'm
So
not a
that's what
fan
I
of
keep wanting to
ukulele.
hear, like something with a lot of reverb and a really like sharp plucks almost.
I'm very
I
picky
kinda
on
wanna-
whenever I want ukulele in a piece, and this would actually be a good one with his vocals actually. So I always think of a ukulele as a kid's toy, and it should be in stuff. All right, it looks like it's a piece
It's a
by
three-
me that's
yeah,
not
so it
by
looks
me.
like-
So this will be fun.
Okay, we got
Piece
off
by me,
kilter
not by me.
by something involving Badco and something involving clowns. Not sure what's happening here, but let's find out.
It's a remix.
Ooh.
Bloop. Right. Do you want to roast yourself, Clowns, or do you want to let Sunny roast you first? Or Bacco, I guess. I don't know. Both of you. Joint.
It would be Baco that would be roasted. Go ahead, Sonny. I'll give
Baked
mine
it.
after you both go.
Baked potato.
Baked potato.
Well,
Don't
I think you
understand.
did some really cool use of the poinky ponkies, is what I wrote in my notes. You got like those little that you've got in the background, and I thought those were really interesting. I also noticed the panning you put on there. I was talking to you about it in chat, and now that I know that you're doing it to keep the frequencies separated, I can see why you're doing it like that. The only problem I would see in that is what happens when someone's listening to only one device? I bet it's going to sound really funny. Either that or it's going to cut out one thing entirely.
Actually, no, it doesn't.
Depends on-
It actually sounds fine.
It does? It does sound fine?
Yeah, because that's how I had it to begin with. Everything was all in the center, and it does sound fine. I'm pretty good at recording.
I kind of
my
wonder
instruments.
why you don't just pan one outwards and put one in the center and then have the lead guitar over top of it. Would they clash too much?
Yes.
Oh yeah,
They do
I
clash
noticed,
too much if
and
you do it
trust
like
me, I
that?
will be saying something about that.
All right. And I also felt like it was really, you had that opening riff that had like the down, 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 really spicy riff there. When you transition back to it at the end, it feels really abrupt and sudden. I don't
Yeah,
know
that
if
was
you
actually done on
want to
purpose.
ease up that transition.
No, I
I
actually
don't know
didn't
if you
want to.
wanted to do it like that. I just didn't know how to feel about it.
The
I
reason
also
I pulled that.
appreciate the
go
attention
ahead.
to detail. You reversed the kick into itself at some points, and I noticed the little things that you were doing there, and I was like, this person put a lot of attention and detail into the little aspects of the song. I can tell. Okay, carry on with what you were saying.
Okay, so I'm going to address Baco here. Yeah, we're going to have to rework that at 25 and 36 seconds. Yeah, I definitely noticed it. We're going to have to come up with a melody for that because that melody does not fit and really stuck in my crawl. So we'll work on that. I'll talk to you later about it. Yeah, it was just like, yeah, that does not fit. So we'll work on that. The rest of it sounds good. Yeah, there's some of the painting issues I think are now there that weren't there before. And I kind of know why, because I'm kind of crazy whenever I'm recording stuff like this. My playing is spot on, but like there's a few parts in the sax that I'm actually here. Sax sounds better, by the way. There's parts in the sax where I'm noticing that I could have played it a little bit better, but still sounds good. But I don't have as much experience on the sax as I do on the guitar, so go ahead, Nathan, roast the hell out of me.
Too much bass. It's too much bass. Sorry.
Bass.
Too much bass.
It's just in terms of level, the bass is too loud, and it's a bit too loud in your drums too. You've overemphasized the bass in your drums, and it's actually making it so that the guitar is getting buried a little bit as a result. But I wouldn't make the guitar louder. I'd just pull everything else down a bit. In this version, you remove the sub layer. Everything else still has too much bass content, like sub bass content in it. Just a smidge.
Think
like,
you
know, I
could
wouldn't
duck it a
go
little bit with
crazy
an
with a dynamic
EQ
EQ
or
might
cut it
be
out?
enough. Could be enough. Yeah. No, don't go crazy. You're talking 1 or 2 decibels of bass frequency response max. But it's just enough that
What
it's
about-
taking some of the glittery shine off the guitar, because especially in
Oh yeah,
headphones, you know?
yeah. I think you're right because in the solo was kind of tamed down a little bit too, compared
Yeah.
to what it was.
But I
Like,
wouldn't
that
change the
impact was a
volume
little
of
bit
that
gone.
specific element. Just bring everything else down a little bit. Just tweak it, because it's right now. It's just the point where that's all I'm really hearing to the maximum effect in my headphones. I mean, I can't remember what you produce on, like what headphones you produce on, but I feel like it's likely your monitoring environment that's causing the disconnect there. I think I remember you saying you changed what headphones you were using, maybe, recently. could be misremembering or
Oh
confusing.
yeah, you
someone
mentioned
else's.
that you were still getting used to them.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that's part of it. Just you haven't quite learned the response yet. Well, I obviously know these very, very well after owning them for like 2.5 years. So I mean, I can kind of, yeah, just a little bit, nothing too crazy. Obviously, in terms of arrangement, yeah, in terms of arrangement, we've heard this before, I think, and my comments obviously are basically very similar to the way it's before. I agree that you maybe should re-record the sax ever so slightly, but otherwise it sounded pretty good. So I mean, overall, good job with remixing it and tidying it up, Backo. On the whole, I think it's fine. It's just the bass. That's kind of all that was really standing out to me.
Cause I'm all about that bass, that bass.
Yeah, thanks, Megan Trainor. You'll get a DMCI strike from Universal or whoever she signed with.
Has that actually happened from someone just saying something
Yes.
like that?
Not
ridiculous.
to us, but I'm pretty sure it has happened.
It does happen.
It does happen. Hello, Mr. Jetsy. We are very good, thank you. I mean, I'm pretty sure I speak for everybody and that we're pretty good. We're actually on one last song for tonight. It's by our guest, Clowns and Hollow Weird. It's got a music video thing, which you can see in the little corner, so it'll be interesting. Apparently, Backo's working with everybody right now. But I mean, we will be back again for Feedback and Friends in 2 weeks. It's November the 19th. In theory, it'll be 8 p.m. GMT. It's gone. British summertime is over, so no more +1 here. It's back to 0. So I mean, it should be the same time there, but I mean, obviously, I will converse with Isha because she should be back then too, and figure out what the best time is. Because I mean, I don't know. American time hasn't changed yet. They don't change to November 6th. I don't know if there's any other outliers over the next couple of weeks. Please come back in 2 weeks with whips to submit, and we will listen to them. Also, tell all your friends, and if any of you watching, there's another 9 people I assume that aren't me and Sunny and Clown's tune logged in right now. Then if you want to come join us, we can get you on the video conferencey thing. Or in voice, because apparently that's a thing we do now.
Yeah, I'm addicted to it. I'm sorry.
Sunny, I mean, I feel like obviously I guess 2 weeks is a break, but you don't have to come on all the time. It's okay, but maybe
I
see
really
if you can
enjoy it.
ask. But also, maybe okay. I'll make a deal with you. You can come on if you can somehow find someone else cool to bring along with you. Bring a friend. This is Feedback and Friends.
I
See if
don't
you can
have
find
any
someone.
friends though.
Online. That's not Backo.
I can bring some fans.
I spend all day in my room working on college online. I don't even. There are some days where I go where I don't say a single word, like
Wow.
yesterday.
Well,
Yeah.
he's made up for it today.
That's probably why I'm so damn chatty on these streams. I talk a lot.
Well, it's been a pleasure having you both here to talk with us and to give out feedback. And Backo, you are a
It was
friend.
a pleasure.
It's so we got this Hunger Till I Die by our guest Clowns and Hollow Weird, and then we can roast him. Yeah.
Yes, roast me.
I'm nothing more than what I am. Nothing more, nothing more. It's only me, only myself, only I. Nothing more. You can hear me when I cry. Hunger till I die. I am crucified, demoralized, but you can't see me.
Better not autoplay. I can't. I think it's broken. Oh, come on. Yeah, my wireless display. There appears to be a bug in the system that Samsung built. It's at least Windows is concerned. It's perfectly fine, but otherwise it's crashing. Anyway, that's fine. I guess the end of the stream. How can Baka abuse his moderator? I mean, you have them. You had them since Barcelona. When we needed people to watch the chat, I managed to get a few people on board to have as backup moderators. We didn't have any problems that night, but at least full music video. Where did you get the footage?
Okay, so that is Shivering Skins. He is that is actually Jimmy. There's two of them, Mike and Jimmy. And I asked him a week and a half ago, to do a video for Off Kilter, and I finished this up. Sunday? It was finished Sunday or Saturday or Sunday, and they were like, "Hey, we're ready to do your video," while me and Baco were trying to figure out how to do the video for this, and it was just perfect timing. And I'm like, you know what, do Hunger Till I Die, and they did. Jimmy did it, and I think it's great. And this is how their streams normally go, by the way. They will do crazy stuff like these graphics while they're streaming. Every time they do reviews, I love them. They're great. I love sitting in their stream. I'm in there a lot. Baco did the. Oh, what?
Do they use something like Resolume to control their visuals?
No, they're actually programmers, and they built everything that you see there.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah, they did an integration thing, I guess, with AI that controls all that. You can actually choose all. I chose all the settings other than the grandma part. Somebody did that. I don't know who did it, but I chose everything that popped up on the screen. So you, as somebody who comes into their stream, you can do that. They have Inception mode for Jimmy, Inception mode for Mike. I love their channel, and they're great with artificial intelligence. That's one of the things that they do on their channel. And they make music too, and they critique music. Their critique on that was, holy crap, that was good.
I enjoyed it as well. I mean, it's very what do you call it? I'm trying to think of a band who I was thinking of, but my brain's forgotten which band now. That's annoying. And the only one I can.
Chainsmokers a lot in this stream.
No, it's definitely not Chainsmokers.
Not Chainsmokers. This is more along the
I didn't think
lines.
so, but
this is like, I don't know. I never think about like who inspires me to do what I did in this. So there's familiarity in the rock genre for the way I was playing this. So a lot of stuff I'm doing, it's going to feel like just about any rock band that you have out there. And that's kind of what I do whenever I do my music, is trying to make people feel like they've heard it before, even though they haven't.
Yeah, my brain just sucks at names as well, though, because I know there's other things in the same space. I just I don't listen to enough of this sort of rock is the problem, because it's basically stadium like rock, really.
Yep.
And when I do listen to rock, I tend to listen to alternative or album oriented stuff, or just plain weird progressive weirdness.
So like the solos and stuff in here are very progressive. That's
yeah. But it's like the sonic character of this is definitely more stadium rock.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And I mixed some genres in it. It's like the wah pedal effects that I did in the second solo are straight from EDM, right? And the progression for the first solo is reminiscent of like interchanging chords between three different guitars, and then you have the very, very first solo. So you have the one where the vocalist is singing with it. That is actually the first solo that I wrote for this song, and then the one that everybody thinks is the first solo. That one is just, it's reminiscent of violin playing. That's kind of what I was going for right there, to kind of get that kind of feel and excitement.
all of the guitar is super progressive and super intricate, but I don't actually think there's a point where it calms down enough for it to separate itself from the rest of the song.
Right. Right.
Like there's so much that I can't actually pinpoint a specific song that I liked more because it's all different, but it's all the same.
Yeah.
It's a wall of sound. That's kind of typical for this sort of song, to achieve that. You want it to be so everyone's out in the field in front of the stage and nobody can tell at the back that they're they're at the back.
It's a wall of sound. You've got really good vocals, really good harmonies. I like the frequencies, especially in the more screamy guitars. Something I've found a lot with rock, especially as I've listened to it more and more over the years, and really started actually analyzing it from a producer standpoint. I used to listen to music for fun. Now I just dissect every single track I listen to, and that's what I take enjoyment from. I don't
you don't listen to
break
music
up
for fun anymore?
That is the fun I get from music. I listen to all the different intricacies. I don't just think, oh, I like that song. Oh, I like the bass in that song. I like the rhythm. I like the melody. I've started thinking about music differently as I've gotten better at producing.
I've never bothered with that. I mean, I do that. If I do that, I do it as an exercise. But for me, I just I want to go listen to music for just switch my brain off, listen to a cool song. Unless it really sucks. In which case, obviously, I won't like
for me.
it.
If I really like a song, I'll listen to the same song over and over again, which is really weird. I don't know why I've started doing it, but I've listened to the same song over and over again and dissect every little bit. I'll listen to it at different volumes. I'll notice some effect on the voice I didn't at a higher volume, and I'll notice some effect I didn't whenever I listened to it at a lower volume. I don't know what started me doing this, but I've just listened to the exact same thing over and over again and just analyzed the hell out of everything. But something I've noticed a lot in rock genres is they often do really good variations and drum breakdowns and changes up in rhythms. I mentioned in chat that I wanted to try something in 5/8 and 11/8. That's something you hear in rock songs. You hear it variate from a a really weird rhythm to another one, and changing the time signature. You've also got some panning on the drums, which I wouldn't have thought to do. You have a splash on the left and then a on the right in some parts. I thought that was pretty interesting.
So one of the things I did with this
guitar
song
is very strange as well.
The song
I felt.
is like a representation of my life. The very first half of the song.
Chaotic?
No, the very first half of the song is very smooth. There's not very much variation, right? There's little bumps and hiccups, and it's progressing, right? And I wrote this song in the hospital whenever I got COVID, and I almost died. And I have a recording of it on my SoundCloud, the original, and it's country, but all the lyrics are there. Everything that you hear is here, even the melodies that are in this. I just turned it to rock, but the second half of the song represents different parts of my life since then. It was the chaos of me almost dying. That's what the first long solo is, and how life seemed like it was moving really quick. And then when my daughter passed away, the explosion of the guitars and then the stuttering, it represented the chaos that was going on. And key moments would pop up and burst away really quick. That's what the E string plucks were. And then now we're into the last solo where I'm just playing just to stay alive. That's what I feel like all the time now. And that's why the solos are the way they are, and why the progression of the song is the way it is that's how I feel my life has gone up to this point.
Damn.
So this is writing
That's
from
pretty
emotion. Deep. This is what I was talking to you about whenever I am saying write from emotion. What are you trying to express? What are you trying to feel? Right? And each one of those solos is an expression of a part of my life. And I tried to embed those in there. And I also want to show off my skill too. I like dropping this song now. I love dropping it in on guitarists because their jaws drop, because it's just, they're insane solos. They're just absolutely insane.
As someone who's trying to get into guitar playing, what process did you go through to start actually learning guitars? Let me try and elaborate.
Okay,
on
so I
this.
started guitar when I was 6 years old, so it was just playing every day. My father made me play guitar for an hour every day. I played piano 2 hours, violin 2 hours, and to wrap it up, I played guitar. And then why I'm so good is because I, whenever I came of age, I got into the music industry like heavily, and I was touring all the time, so I got really good at playing 3 or 4 songs really good, right? Doing tours, you just play the same song over and over again, and I kind of got burnt out on that. And after 2 years of that, I wanted something different, and I also had a kid, so I wanted to like stabilize my life. So then it was 10 hours a day, working in studio, writing melodies, writing progressions, and you just
10
get better
hours.
over time. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. That's
I
what was
thought
saying.
3 hours today was a little bit much. Like, I really enjoyed the way the song I had submitted earlier.
Yeah, but I was
today.
making money
like,
doing
after
it.
3 hours, I decided I was going to leave it be and not let that giddy, happy feeling from accomplishing something.
But the
Well,
best,
I mean,
the
don't do it in
best,
one go.
the
You
best,
take breaks.
yeah,
You still-
the best in the world. That's what we're doing. I mean, the reason that I am as good as I am is because I was doing it every day for 10 hours a day. I was making money doing it, but I was doing it every day. I'm not saying that
Wow.
you should do it because it that's a lot of dedication, right? But if you
Yeah.
want to get to where my skill level is, that's what you have to do. And I did it for almost 30 years. Okay, so that's why I can play like this, right?
yeah.
If you want to even get like where you can do with the rhythm guitar in this and the lead guitar, you practice 3 hours a day. Practice your strumming, practice transitions, practice your slides. That's it. That's what you do. An hour a day. That's all you need.
Until I actually bring my guitar back into my room, I actually ordered this tab for keys. Just, I was going to practice these, and I was going to post them up on the wall somewhere and use them as a reference if I wanted to just play a little bit and mess around.
But Nathan,
Yeah, I ordered. They were
you-
$15 on Amazon. Probably not worth it.
Mine wasn't the ability to do it. It was a necessity to do it. I had a family I had to take care of, and I needed to make money,
Not
right?
fair.
And it's just like if you're, I don't know what you guys do for a living outside of this stuff, but
Make pizza.
you get good at your job, right?
Yeah.
And whatever your daily job is, you're gonna get good at it. And my daily job was strumming a guitar, composing music, and making the best sound possible. That was my job. I wasn't a producer. I suck at producing. That's why Ugo did the production on this, and I think he did an excellent job. And why I get Baco to help me with the production on the other stuff. I'm also trying to learn production, which has been a nightmare, by the way. But when it comes to like playing guitar, sax, drums, any of that, I'm good at it. It's because that's what I did for my whole career.
Wow,
It's like
I mean,
looking at the guy who bags your groceries. He gets really fast at it, and you're just like, I could never.
I actually
I
have
can never
spent
do
8
that.
years in retail. I'm very good at packing.
Yeah. And I
I'm
look
very
at you,
good at
I look
folding
I look at
pizza
the baggers,
boxes.
and I'm in awe half the time how quick they bag my stuff. I'm just like, how the hell?
Yeah, I work at a pizza place, and I can fold a large 20-inch pizza box, mind you, in about 5 seconds. Pretty damn quick.
Well, I'm still learning when it comes to music too. Like I'm very proficient on the instruments, but like I don't know every genre, right? I still have stuff to learn. Like I understand what sells, and that's what I focus on. You got a lot of the people that come in here are dealing with niche markets. Well, I deal with the general public. That's where I made my money. And honestly, I didn't do rock whenever I worked as a session. It was pop. I worked with a lot of pop singers. And so me doing this song, I love doing it because it was very personal to me. And I actually like rock.
It's kind of strange now that you mention it, because if I was ever in my workplace, I would never dream of playing any of my songs there. because a lot of what they listen to is older songs.
They're classics, right?
Mama Said, Pussifer, you know, all the classics.
Yep.
Ooga Shaka, Ooga, Ooga, Ooga Shaka, you know, I've got a feeling.
Ooga shaka, ooga oop.
Yeah, it's that.
Yeah.
Everyone joins in if that song plays. No matter how many people in there, you'll just hear from the back. Ah! It's amazing. But I would never dream of playing dubstep in the restaurant, and that's kind of something that's been weird. You know, it's a very niche genre, and not a lot of people enjoy or listen to it, except for us. You know.
Well,
It's definitely an interesting thing to look at.
speaking of other things that are niche, who would like to join in a raid tonight? It looks like the Whittler is on, and he's quite good. But
Nice.
we've never done that before, so maybe let's have a go and raid the Whittler. There's 11 of us in chat, so let's just go say hi to him.
But you never gave me
Incredible
your
raid.
feedback on the song.
Mainam, I liked your feedback, so I liked your song. I thought it was good.
My feedback is your feedback.
My feedback is our feedback. I guess everyone's brains
Okay.
have melted at this point after 3 hours and 33 minutes
Yeah.
of streaming.
Yeah,
But
no
thank you
shit.
both for coming on, and we've got one more thing to do before we say goodbye to everyone, and that is say good night to everyone. Good night. Until November the 19th. Oh. Did it work?
I think so. I think not.
Oh no.
Oh no,
You're
it
still
broke.
live.
We got to do it again. Darn it!
It didn't. It doesn't seem to
Dag
work.
nabbit.
Maybe our channel.
Start the
doesn't have
raid counter.
I mean, I try. It's just meant to just work with like
Technical difficulties.
type raid.
And then the user's name.
Yeah, I did that. Maybe it's username.
Also, you
isn't-
should have. Before you go, I have some ideals for your channel.
Oh, it's all lowercase.
After we
That's
get
why
done.
it's. Oh. It's because
Yeah, case sensitive.
it's not working.
Bumber biff bean.
Well, I
Burber
guess.
bing burbers.
I
The
guess
bass bing
that's,
boobot and vor burber bing burbers. This
yeah, it's
will
not
bing
working.
bookettis.
Oh well, we'll try again another time. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. Have a wonderful week, and see you on November 19th. Good night.